Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Eric Bird, here at StopStrugglingNow.com. And tonight, Dominican Republic, February 2026, tourist records. We got a lot to talk about because we have investors that are hopefully going to be in the house tonight. Investing abroad, ladies and gentlemen, not just relegated to the Dominican Republic, but overall real estate investing is what we're talking about. How about no credit check, no qualifying, no barriers to entry to buy real estate around the world? And welcome. Stop Struggling Now gear. Check. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. Now, let's get All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you so much for being here. Please share the videos because you never know who's out here looking for this information or not looking for the information, does not realize no credit is needed to initially get started if you choose pre-construction. But we're going to talk about that and a whole bunch more, considering the ramifications. And please share the videos. Once again, just a reminder, a third reminder. All right. And if you like what we're talking about, please subscribe to the channel. As I've already said, a second reminder. If you really love to support the channel, then join and become a member. How about the trifecta? Let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. All right. As you guys know, I did release a video talking about Dominican Republic tourist records for the month of February 2026. And boy, was it a doozy. Over 800,000 tourists by air 2 months in a row. Can March be the third? Well, I don't know why it would stop. Quite frankly, it's a setup perfectly fine because of the mayhem in Mexico. Who wants to go down there and risk themselves being in trouble with the cartels running across tourism zones now? Who would want to go to South America, which of course people probably still are, but the Venezuela situation, airspace, you never know what can happen. So that's two places that people normally would go when it's December, January, February, when they could easily just go to the Caribbean and not have to worry about none of that conflict area zones, which is what I believe has sparked that. Plus, traditionally, the DR is going to add additional tourists anyhow. Let's just get that correct. Now, either way, just so everybody understands, the prediction for this year has been already, I've talked about this before, at the end of last year, we are expecting anywhere from 9.3 million to 9.4 million passengers by air this year. That's what I'm predicting. We will see if things change, but that's exactly what I was predicting with or without the situation in Mexico or Venezuela. With or without if there's weather problems. But let's get into it, shall we? Because I cannot stop without further ado. Let me pull up the DR1. I'm not going to use Dominican today. I'm going to use DR1 because DR1 gives out more information. I went over it during the video, but I want to hear from you. I know some of the investors. Let me know what you guys think. Are you telling your friends to invest in Dominican Republic or other areas around the world because property is cheaper? There are pre-construction opportunities and not pre, but after built properties as well. that are still cheap around the world. Is it worth it? Well, the world is changing. New governments, countries are putting in new rules for people that do not live or grown up in their country, citizens. Okay. So America's not the only one doing this devastating thing, which will cause ramifications for tourists and investments. Because if I know I can't stay somewhere without being there 30 to 60 days and I have to either choose go leave the country for a day or two and come back versus being able to get residency, those are the things right there that will matter. And a lot of countries that people were talking about in the Southeast Asia part, like Thailand, Vietnam, places like that, they started changing their requirements. If you want to buy property, if you're going to stay there at any length of time. So keep that in mind when you are thinking about investing. And short-term rentals. What are these countries doing with short-term rentals? Are they going to do what Spain did? Or are they going to do what the United States, some of the cities and states have done with regard to blocking Airbnb? Whistler, Canada, for instance, blocking short-term rentals all as much as they can, which pretty much means 99% of them. So these are the type of things you have to worry about if you are doing it for short-term rentals. If you have another plan, then that's on you. That's business. That's building wealth. That's how you financially make decisions, right? So without further ado, I must get into it, shouldn't we? And make sure you smash that like button once again. Give it a one piece. Let's go. This is very simple here. Tourism surges 13% in February, breaking all-time records. Of course, they're going to break records. Let's just get things straight. They're going to break records for the next 2 years for sure. After that, I am not going to make any predictions simply because it all depends on how much progress they're making in 2 years. And I'm hoping they make some that does not involve just building new roads, that does not involve adding more hotels, more projects. There's so much land available that they can add projects anytime they want to. I'm talking about condos, villas, townhome projects. They can do that any day of the week. They can do that for the next 20 years. But is there going to be buyers? And there's such a thing as if you outbuild what buyers will buy, that leads to catastrophic situations such as what happened in the DR in 2007, 8, 9, when the United States economy went down, they went down. People were buying 2-bedroom condos by the beach for 200 and some odd 60,000. That's right. Across the street from the beach, even though it had ocean view, the lady was selling hers in 2020. All she wanted was her 260. Again, I can't remember. It was 261, 2, 3, or 4, somewhere in that range. She said, I'll just take that. Whoever gives me what I purchased it for in 2007, 8, 9, I'll take it. Because they were in the cycle where the prices went up so high, then they went back down, and you could buy homes around the corner, less than 100 yards away, for under 80 grand, the same 2-bedroom types units, even though they're not across the street from the beach. But if you have 80 grand 100 yards or less away, it's hard to pay 264. And most people rationalize, I'll take the one for 80 grand when I can just walk up the street 3 to 4 minutes and be in the ocean. Other people said, I'm not willing to pay 264. Well, she got her 264 or 261, whatever it was. She got her 260K plus, but it took a year and a half. When prices surged due to the surge of pre-construction projects, due to a lot of people finding out that there were you could buy 2-bedroom units, condos, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom villas, everything under 100,000, in fact, under 80 grand. So of course, a lot of people from around the world was over there buying from everywhere, because where else can you get 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, condos, villas, townhomes for 80 grand or less? You can buy penthouses for under 100 grand. This is what was going on. So people were obviously very, very ecstatic, especially people from the United States and Canada. All right. So here we are, the breakdown, just so everybody understands. All I suggest you care about is the air passengers and the air arrivals. 824,172 tourists arrived by air is an 11% increase over February 2025. That's very true. 11% because it was 740 something 2025. So that's roughly about right. That's about 80,000 more, 70,000 more, whatever the case may be. So it would be around 11.3. So that would make sense. The cruise passengers of 360,000, that rose 17%. So together combined, they make 13%. So the percentage I don't really care about. I only care about 824,000, up from around 746,000 from last year. That is nice. That means we got roughly about another 70,000. Probably it has to be 70, about 80,000. It has to be somewhere like 80,000. But the point is that 80,000 for the month, when you break it down per week, it's 4 weeks, let's say. So therefore, that's 20,000 per week. That's how many more visitors you needed to come in to make everything level from last year, right? Do you understand? Because the reason why I'm saying this is because they built. How many units have they built since last year? Right? We don't know. We do know that the hotels said, this is what the industry in the DR has said. They said they built 6 to 8,000 new units in 2026, and they've built about another 5 to 7,000 short-term rentals have been added to the short-term rental pools. So basically, we're somewhere around 13, 14,000, maybe 15, 16 on the upper side. So therefore, that means we're 4,000 plus from last year, but we're already behind by a million. All right. So you have to understand we're behind a million annually already. So because we added just this makes this 4,000, that's not going to cut in the overall scheme of things. So this year, I've been giving predictions out the whole time. This year, we were supposed to have 10.5 million to 11 million tourists. Next year, it's 11.5. That's the jumps in order to keep, if you're going to keep adding hotel units and you're going to keep adding short-term rentals of something like 15,000 per year, you can start doing 15,000 per week because that's how many units are going to be available when the average is 7.5 days per stay on average. It used to be 8, by the way, but it's down to 7.5. But the point is, that's literally a week. So the point I'm trying to make is 15,000 times 4. You can figure it out. It's 60 grand. 60,000 a month times 12 is 720,000, right? So you have to add that many more next year. So remember, last year was 8.9. Okay. So by rights, if it is 15,000 is the number, then that means in order to make everything level and have the same impact on availability, then you're going to need 720,000 more. So that 8.9 would have to be 9.7, 9.7 to 9.8 next year or this year. But we're already behind because it's supposed to be 10.5 this year because we were behind from last year. And we're not going to get 1.6, I do not believe. Even if you got 800,000 every month, that only means you got, what is that, 960, right? Even if you were able, which you're not going to be able to, there's low seasons. You're not going to be able to get 800,000 every month. So we won't even entertain that. Let me know what you guys think right now. Let me know if you guys can hear me out there, because this will not be a long-term video once again, because podcasts, you guys, how long are you going to listen to the podcast? 1 hour, 45 minutes, or 2 hours? This could go a long way. It depends on what the comments say. So far, there's no comments in the comment section. I can't see anything. That means I normally traditionally have to do a couple of things, right? That means I have to go look at my phone and see if there's somebody making comments, and I can't see them in the back office, which is highly likely. And maybe not. We'll see. And let me see if there's other platforms that I'm monitoring tonight. Soriano, Carlos, Julio. Well, nice to see you in the SSN Nation live stream on another platform. So let's go. Let me go pull this up. Let's see what we got. Let's go to the channel. Here we go. Okay. All right. So here we are. I don't see any comments. So hopefully, you never know. The YouTube guys, sometime, they block us. It's all right. Doesn't matter. This is going to help out a lot of people in the long run for all of you who are paying attention to the DR and other places, because a lot of places are like the DR. No credit check, no qualifying, no barriers to entry. That is in several places, even an island over. You have it, right? You have it all over the Caribbean. You have it all over South America, Central America, Asia markets, even the EU, even Dubai is getting into the game. How about no money down and you pay 1% per month of your purchase price for 3 years? And then that's on the table in Dubai. But again, I'm not suggesting go to Dubai. I have a problem myself with Dubai from the standpoint of making investments in Dubai when they also are overbuilding. They're building anything and everything. Every week there's a new project coming out because people are buying from around the world. It was one of the safe zones until a hotel or two just got hit by Iran. That makes it a problem, right? And their airport. Exactly. It now stops a little, maybe tourism going there, but will it really stop a lot of rich people from buying in that area? And you don't have to be rich in Dubai either, because they're selling 1 bedrooms, 150 G's, 2 bedrooms, less than 200 G's. So they're affordable and they have special packages for you. But again, I'm not suggesting purchase. I'm just letting you know it's available. No credit check, no qualifying, no barriers to entry is what you want. And it's off book because it's not an official loan. You're just paying without having it reported on your credit. It's outside the United States, which is part of the tenets of what we started 2 years and 9 months ago when I had the countdown on what you need to do. And I'll express it again. Get some property or create a business outside the United States. Get a bank account outside the United States. And get your credit score to 775 because you want that 0% interest rate even right now for 12 months, for 24 months. I am predicting in the next 6 months, 5 months, we should see 0% for 36 months because credit for those people that pay on time, those are what the creditors are really, really going to want because they have to go use some additional leverage because liquidity could dry up because a lot of people aren't going to be able to pay for their credit cards. And we have all-time record high credit cards balances. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's unattainable. All right, just letting you know it's already over with. And that's why the private credit is having a problem right now. It's going to get locked up. So don't worry. Now, let's keep moving, shall we? Let me get back to the situation at hand. Let me get this back so you guys understand what we're looking at here. You want to pay attention to the Dominican Republic in the Caribbean, then you invested there. This is great. This should be good for you. You should be happy that you see this number. I'm happy that I see this number. Again, I know what it is. My prediction of 9.3 million to 9.4 million tourists by air this year, I don't think it's going to be out of pocket, and I think it's going to actually fall within that range. We will see. So we'll see how it goes, but that's not going to help us. 400, 500, 600,000 is not going to help us. We need 720,000 minimum just to stay even. And by the way, if you don't know what the occupancy rate is, it's 31% from 2 years ago was at 31%. They've built more units. All right. You can go to airroi.com. AIRROI.com. You can look up based on Airbnb. They use Airbnb. You can see people's occupancy rates. So you'll be told the story. Pay more because by the beach, you get higher occupancy. Well, traditionally, that is true. But when you overbuild, there's way too many units that's going to be on the water. So everybody can't get 80% occupancy or 75% or 65% occupancy. You have too many units. Plus, you have too many units a block behind the beach. You have too many units where you're 2 blocks behind the beach, but because you're on the top floor, you can see the ocean. All of that matters because that takes away from the front when all of a sudden the property's behind. I can rent my beachfront for, let's call it 300, well, I don't know, 300 per night because it's a nice unit. But then 2 blocks back, somebody's charging 175. And so now people are starting to go, well, wait a minute, I can save, like, I stay there a week, I can save $1,000 just by, I can walk 2 blocks. I can walk a block. I can still see the ocean when I'm up on the roof. All of a sudden, people start rationalizing why they don't have to purchase up there because the availability comes into play. If there's not but 60, 70% occupancy and another 30% of units are available, that's not any reason for a person to buy and pay a higher price. They'll just go, well, there's plenty of units around and I can pay way lower and save myself 1,000 for the week. So why not save the 1,000? Because we're going to go on excursions and we're not going to stay in our unit and sit there and watch the ocean. So what difference does it really make? So think about that when you're out here buying real estate, no matter where it is around the country or around the world. All right. So let's get back to the situation at hand. Um, The number of air arrivals was similar to that of January when the Ministry of Tourism had reported 825,000 air arrivals, a record for the country. Exactly. And this was 824,000, just a few hundred less. This is significant because this is great because March should also have, if it's not over 800,000, I'd be surprised because March is spring break. A lot of spring breakers are not going to Mexico, clearly. Puerto Vallarta looks like a war zone. They're not going down there. And so they've diverted and they're probably going to go to DR because DR is one of the better places for all inclusives and all that, safe as well. And so, or other places, I mean, even in the United States. So Orlando and places like that gets to have increase in traffic. A lot of United States tourist destinations get to increase in traffic because of spring break. So that's a great thing. So let me know what you guys think. But here's one of the most important numbers for any country. The consumer nations are United States and Canada. Their citizens are going a little broke, meaning 85% of Canadians are living paycheck to paycheck and 80% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. All right. So let's just call it what it is. So if you have the buyer countries, you need them to be number one and number two on your tourist list in order to continue to have people that are going to invest in your country. So this was great news right here. This United States remains the primary source of tourism for the country, accounting for 39% of all visitors, followed by Canada at 24%. That is 63%. That is beautiful to see. Now, the question is, are you going to have enough of those buyers after the last 8 years of uptick, people going there to buy inexpensive real estate? Are there enough more of these people with high rising costs in each country? That is the $1 million question that I have. And in my mind, that's not a question. My mind means there's going to be a severe dwindling of United States and Canadian customers. That's what I believe. And so that is playing out in a different way. You're not going to see as many people or realtors on YouTube or social media promoting Dominican Republic properties like they did just 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, where there was hundreds of people because there were so many buyers. Now there's less buyers. And so now you're getting into the realm of places saying, well, we're going to reduce the price. We're going to have discounts on these on our properties right now for the whole month. Before they used to do it like in October or after March, like in April or May, and there would be like 2 or 3 days that we reduced the price on like 4 units for $4,000 or $5,000. So as soon as those 4 units are gone, that's it for the 4,000. Then people are buying more because it's a special, right? But the point is, those things are going to happen on a permanent basis. Like at Jardines, permanent basis. They said, oh no, Jardines 4, we're going to reduce the price. Not just on some little 3-day program, right? There's people right now that have purchased that their projects have not been delivered. And so the owners are in groups on Facebook, on WhatsApp, and that they're going, I put down 80 grand. I've been paying $1,300 per month. And it supposedly was going to be delivered in 6 months. But clearly, they haven't even finished anything. It's not going to be delivered in 6 months. I don't want to wait another 2 years. So even though I put down 80 grand, how about you give me 70 grand? You take over payments, the remaining payments. That's what people are doing in-house at River Island. So that's how they're selling it for less. They're willing to take the 10K hit because they think, and they're probably right, that they're not going to see their unit until 2020, maybe 3 years from now. That's the reality of the situation. They don't want to guess anymore, especially after sitting here watch the stock market hit all-time record highs twice, 3 times, 4 times in the last 4 years, 5 times, 6 times. Your money's been locked up. Meanwhile, if you would have had it in any portion of that in the stock market, you could have doubled your money. Even if it was 40 grand, it would have been doubled. So they're realizing there's a cost loss here. So that's why this is important. Here's the other thing. The other significant, look how deep this falls. Significant contributors, Argentina is only 6%. France is 4%. Colombia is 3%. That's not a lot of people. 60% of 825, 64% of 825. Oh man, I got something on the screen. I got the chart watching the NASDAQ close down today. It dropped. I don't know what it officially closed at. But just to give you guys an idea of the numbers, if you're an investor, you have to pay attention to numbers. So if we know we got 824,000, I'll just round it to 824,000. And then we times it by 63%. This right here, 519,000 is from the United States and Canada. That means we have roughly 306,000 for all of the other countries combined. That's not a lot. And especially the next one is 6%, which is around 50,000 people from Argentina. France is 4%, which is around 32,000 people, and Colombia is 3%, which is around 20-some thousand people. The problem with all these numbers is not everybody comes by themselves. So if you really start breaking things down, out of this 519,120 that came from the United States and Canada, I always say I divide it by 2. So in reality, it's 259,000. So whether it's an adult, whether it's a family of 3, a family of 4, I don't know what the numbers are. Only DR does. Whenever they release those, then you'll even be able to get a real clear picture on what's happening. Because if they ever release that the average passengers that stay together, come together, is 3, then that reduces everything. If they say it's not going to be 1. But if they say it's 3.5, that means things are even worse. The higher that number is, the worse it is, because that means you can't count each individual air passenger by themselves. So when I say there's 2, I divide the 825 by 2. So we get to 412,000 for the month. And then when you divide that, you go, okay, 412 divided by 4 weeks for the month of February. That would mean roughly 105,000, 103,000, we'll round up, 105,000 passengers per week. Well, if you've been watching this channel, you know that's for the all of DR. So if we divide by 2 and we know it's 105,000 passengers per week, and some of you investors, this is what you do at other countries. Go to tourismanalytics.com and put in the country, and you'll find out the air passengers, the hotel occupancy, and all that. But the point is that I'm trying to make is, if you know that this is 105,000 per week for 2 passengers arriving in the month of February, that's the average that I'm using. I break it down. If you know there's 92,000 as reported last year by the hotel industry, 92,000 hotel units are on the island. 51,400 short-term rentals are on the island. That's 140 something thousand, right? 143,000. We're only filling potentially 105,000. And keep in mind, not everybody stays at a hotel and not everybody stays in a short-term rental. Some of these people stay with family, friends, or acquaintances. Those aren't recorded. So I'm out of the benefit of the doubt, you still have 35,000, 40,000, 50,000 units sitting vacant every week. If everybody that arrives stayed in a location, which is not going to be that's not going to happen. So once you realize that's not going to happen, and once you realize 1/3 of all properties are vacant every week. Okay? So there's no way that you can have, as a short-term rental overall on the island, there's no way you can have 50% occupancy overall. Sure, a person could have 80%, 90% occupancy. They're in a great location. But other people, that means they'll have a 10% occupancy, a 5% occupancy. So you're going to have a lot more people under 10% than you are people over 90% occupancy. Because for every 90% occupancy person, you're going to have a 5%, a 10%, a 1%, a 20%, just to offset that 90%. So that's why you're going to find at Price Labs, when they say what's the occupancy rate, they're saying is 31%. But that 31% is from a couple years ago. But that should be about right, because you have 30% of your units vacant every month. Vacant, verified, vacant. But now, as I stated in the video that I created, just like anywhere, tourismanalytics.com, you can look up most countries, their tourism numbers. So if you're going to invest in other countries, you can find out the same numbers, and you can start figuring it out. So if we're down to 30% are vacant, you can start seeing where, if you don't fill that 30% void year after year after year, and you're just breaking even, but you're building more units. So there's going to be 165,000 to 170,000 units for rent by the end of this year. New short-term rentals and hotel rooms, there's going to be added. So now, where are you going to get these extra? So you're going to have to get at least the same amount of units rented next year, which means you need the exact same rental numbers, but they are going to have to be higher. So you're going to have to break a records next year too, and hope it's not just 80 grand. You're going to have to hope it's 950,000 in the month of February next year. How's that going to happen? I have no idea. It could, but I don't know how. All right, let's just put it that way right now, because we can't see the future. But the point is, that is the problem that's going to surface and is here. And that's why there's a low occupancy rate when you look around and you start going to Air ROI and looking individually at Airbnb. Now, remember, there's VRBO, Vacata, and all these other short-term rental programs around the world. But at least you can see on Airbnb, the number one source for rentals. you can see when somebody says, well, I make X amount of dollars, I live in this area. Okay, that's fine. But once you start looking in the area, you would be the other person, right? So you start looking and you're going, well, wait a minute, they only charge people like $395 for the week. The only reason that works is because that is, what is that? That's $70 per night or something. Yeah, 7 times 7 is 4 nights. That's not even 70. That's like $55 per night, right? The only reason that can work for a one bedroom is because the person was able to buy their unit for 50 grand 5 years ago. So that gives them a huge advantage. You show up today, they're selling the same unit for 77 grand. You don't get to charge 395. Why? Because you have to make 0.1%. That has to be your rental price. That means you have to rent at $77 per night. So that means you're in around 575, let's call it, for the week. But your fellow owners in the same complex can charge 395, 350, 375. People go, woohoo. But you can't do that. So you have a huge disadvantage in order to make the same. And in order to get an occupancy rate that's going to help you, how are you not going to be going to have to go, well, you know what? I better get mine down there around that price. And now you're going to fall flat. And now people are finding this out, obviously, is my opinion. More than opinion, but people are finding out because that's why people are bailing, because they're realizing, like the River Island guys, they're realizing, wait a minute, I paid 175, 179 for a studio, 159 for a studio. I'm looking around the neighborhood and studio and one bedroom units are not, I can't get 159 a night. I'm talking about 159K, right? I can't get 160 a night for the week, because you can go look on Airbnb right now and go look in the area you want to purchase, like Los Corrales. Go see how many places are charging 1,100 for the week. You're going to see a bunch. You're going to see some that do, but you're going to see a bunch under that. So that's what they're looking at. They're like, wait a minute. And now we're going to include 100, 150 new units. Out of that, probably 50 people probably would rent theirs out. I'm guessing not 150, but 50 probably. That's what, it's a studio, right? Now you're finding out that one bedroom, can you really charge 1,500 a night in that area? I mean, 1,500 for the week in that area, meaning you're going to buy something for 200, 220. So that means you have to be at around $1,500 to $1,600 for the week. Can you get that? Not right now. People already see the writing on the wall. They're like, whoa, it's way off from, we can charge 1,000. We can charge 11. We can charge 12. When you start getting into 1,600 and up, all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, the people by the beach are charging this. Closer to the beach, right? Closer to some amenities. So that puts you at a disadvantage. And that's why you have to be very, very careful on not paying and purchasing for more than what it's worth from an investor standpoint. You can't just go, hey, I'm able to buy this. You have to think about, how much are you going to make? We're going to get into that shortly, but I'm going to get back into this real quick because a lot of people need to see the numbers. And oh, by the way, hold on a second. Let me put this in the chat room, the links for DR1, so you can read the whole thing yourself, because I'm skipping through it. All right. On all these social media platforms, letting you guys get the link, because I want you to be able to go look it up yourself, because I'm skipping through it. The United States maintained its upward trajectory, posting a 6% growth compared to February 2025. Yes. I expect this. As the world has turmoil, people aren't going to leave safe zones. Like, who's going to the Middle East right now? That people are like, forget that. I'll stay over here. You know, I'll go to the EU. Maybe, well, actually, I wouldn't even go to the EU at this point. So I'll go to the Caribbean, seemingly safe area right now. All right. So South America's overall contribution was 17% of total tourism for the month of February. That's not a lot when you start thinking about it. 17%. That's not a lot. But this is what you should pay attention to if you're an investor. No matter what or where you're investing, you should know which airports are the where the most tourists come in. That should in your brain, you should know who number one is and who number two is and the difference. If they're near the same or is there a big difference? Now in the DR, there's a big difference. 54% of all arrivals, they come through the Punta Cana Airport, PUJ. Less than half go to Las Americas, which is Santo Domingo. But both are on the eastern part of the island. One is northeast, another one is southeast. Southeast is Santo Domingo, northeast is Punta Cana. They are 1 hour and a half apart by driving in a car. Driving by bus is 2 hours, but you can drive by bus and it's only $5, $6, which is crazy. I did it with the wife. It's crazy. All right. It was cheap. Actually, it was fun, but I don't really recommend it because I had to take a Airbnb. I mean, not Airbnb, Uber from Santo Domingo Airport over to the bus terminal. The bus terminal you paid in pesos, so I needed pesos. I believe it was pesos. But either way, I paid them like $5.50, something like that. They took the bags, put them in the back, and then they went to another terminal, another bus terminal to pick up some more people. Then we stopped in some other location along the way. So it took 2.5 hours, just so you understand. All right. 2.5 hours to get to Los Corrales. They let us off at the what's that place called? Uh it's the name of the project too. El Dorado Plaza. And that it's right next to the grocery store. But El Dorado Plaza, they dropped us off there. And then we were staying at Coral Village, 1 bedroom unit there. So we grab our luggage, go 200 feet to Coral Village. Or might have been staying at no, we stayed at Coral Village. But El Dorado condos are right there. So you're literally, again, 100, 200 feet, you're in your condo unit. So either way, but it took 2.5 hours. Okay, just so you understand. Car would have only taken an hour and a half. But a car, they're going to charge you $125 to $175 at Santo Domingo Airport if you say you want to take a shuttle to Punta Cana. Just so you know. Taxi, same thing. All right. So take your pick. I figured we might as well go on an adventure. It was an adventure. It was fine. I mean, they had snacks, they had drinks. I mean, they were supposed to have Wi Fi. They did not on board. But, phones have Wi Fi, but they were supposed to have Wi Fi. They didn't. But nonetheless, this is what we're talking about here. All right. So I left you links in the chat room. All right. So the link is how you do. How many do you own over there? Just one. Larimar. All right. Um, I was gonna buy initially at Vista Cana, Puna Cana, Panorama Garden, 2 bedroom penthouse unit, and if it's Friday night, so I guess I can give story night, right? Let's go with story night. So about 3 years ago, because it was in 2020, okay, 3 years ago, all of a sudden these guys go, you know what? Inside Vistacana, we're going to start charging for the Vistacana Beach Club because they were just finishing up putting up the Yak Lounge and another little eating place next door. They were just building the pool area and they started this. Oh, it's going to cost you extra for the beach club. I was like, what are you talking about? That's never been a thing. And so somebody was buying Zeba or at the golf course, the 9-hole golf course, right? Which I've never seen anybody even playing on that thing, but okay. But the 9-hole golf course. And they said to the Zeba owner, they go, uh, we're going to include the beach club membership. And that's where things went off the rails. I was like, what are they talking about? Beach club membership. The beach club's included. Everybody knows everything was included. All of a sudden, they said, no, not everything's included. We're going to have a third party doing the beach club and doing the sports complex. The sports complex is supposed to have a sports bar and deli and supposed to have basketball courts, pickleball courts, tennis, soccer fields with stands, all kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, they're talking about you might have to pay for the gym membership or the sports complex as well. Then that defeats the whole purpose. Then you might as well live anywhere else then. You might as well live in Cap Cana, but Cap Cana is expensive. But the point I'm trying to make is that did not make it an all-inclusive spot. When you own there, you get to go to these places. Now, golf, you always have to pay no matter where you are because it costs to maintain. But everything else was supposed to be included. So now I'm like, oh, hell no. And then they started doing crazy. And then I'm just talking about Panorama Garden. Panorama Garden sends something to all owners talking about 18% price increase. That's right. So my $124,000 penthouse unit was going to cost roughly around $145,000 now, without them even laying a brick down. Due to the pandemic, they said, right? Without even laying a brick down, right? So now I got a problem. I'm like, hold on. Even though I use Johan Confidante, so my contract said 10%, so I would have paid 135. But I didn't care about what I paid. I said, no, guys, the owners, hey man, this is not cool. You need to stop this. Okay. And they said, no, it's third party, this, that, and the other. I said, man, I want my money back. I'm out. No, I'm not. I'm not going to be party to this garbage. So after I got my and Epic Ventures, who are doing Panoramic Garden, Panorama Park, Panorama Luxury, I'm going to give them credit because at the time they shipped back all my money, my down payment and everything I paid monthly. They shipped it back. No taking out 10%, 5%, 20%, no loss whatsoever. So they did the right thing. And they, in 2022, still haven't built anything, right? 2020, at the end of 2022, they started building. They're got stuff up right now. It's 2026. Mind you, delivery was supposed to be in 2024, by the way. They're still not fully delivered, but some 3, 4, 5, 10 people live there. But it's built a little differently. I'm not going to say anything bad. It's just that I was out because of what they'd said. I said, I'm not going to sit here and be party to this. If this is what you guys are going to do, this is BS. So I talked about it on the videos and I said, this is BS, this, that. So after about 2-3 months go by, they finally go, because once I made the video, people watched my videos back then a lot more. So they were getting calls. So we had to do a little pressurization, and they finally, I guess the owners, Tony and those guys, I don't know if they had any sway, but all of a sudden they go, oh, hold on, guys, everything's going to be included. Everything's going to be included. So after that, I still wasn't going to buy back in, only because the place that I loved was the Panorama Group, Panorama Garden, Panorama Luxury, Panorama Lake, because at the time, they also had this thing that if you owned in one of the panoramas, you'd be able to go use the amenities of the other panorama, which I do not know if they still allow that or not, because a lot of things have changed over what was said to somebody in these pre-construction projects versus upon delivery. A lot of things. So I wasn't willing to happy to buy back in. Plus the fact, I said, you know what, at this point, why? So then Larimar came back up. which is very interesting project, but it got less interesting as years have gone by because that was 2022 when it first came on the scene. And now here we are in 2026, and delivery was supposed to be December 2025. September 2025. They are on floor. Actually, it's underground parking again. You guys in DR or anywhere where there's rainy, hurricaney stuff, I do not. I'm just saying, from a builder standpoint, I do not understand. Do not do underground parking. I don't get why these guys do this, but anyhow, they're doing it. So there's 2 levels below the building that's going to be underground, or maybe 3. I don't know. It's 2 or 3. So they are 2 levels above ground right now. So let's call it. They must be on floor 2, maybe floor 3. I just don't know how they're counting this, but that's where they're at Larimar. With their delivery was supposed to be September 2025, and they're probably going to take another 2 years. I would think 2028 just to get the 4 prime towers up. It could be less. They're using panels, but again, weather matters. If last year wasn't a rainy season, this year could be, and there was no hurricane. There's some stuff that came by, but nothing went over the island. So the odds of this happening 2 years in a row, where there's not something high force winds coming across the island to disrupt things, at least for some, it could be 4 days, 5 days, 6 days. But again, that takes a toll. So we'll see what happens. But that happens in Southeast Asia as well. That happens in the Philippines. That happens almost in the storms that happen in the Middle East, sandstorms and windstorms and all that stuff happens. So the same rules apply. But this thing about charging people more is crazy. So anyhow, that's it. One spot. At one time, I had 2 spots. One was at Primavera 2, just so MDA 0214 knows. I had 2 spots. And Primavera 2, these guys also late delivery. This one, I did something totally different. What I did was I gave these guys their 10% down. They're talking to me during this process when I'm buying. They're corresponding in English. They're, corresponding in a relatively timely manner. As soon as I gave them the 10% down, all of a sudden I get message talking about no Espanol. I'm like, what? What do you mean? Here's our previous messages. Now all of a sudden it's no Espanol. So I send I think it was 1 payment or no payments. I can't really remember, but I put the 10% down, and now all of a sudden no Espanol. I now have to hit up the real estate agent that I went through. The real estate agent is going, they're not getting back in touch with her because I'm saying, what's going on with that? And now I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to send you guys any more money. F that. Because this already sketchy what you just did right now. We've been corresponding for a month in English, 3-way, 2 ways. And now all of a sudden, after I gave you the 10% down, no habla, no English. I'm just like, okay, not trustworthy. Primavera 2, they were selling Simon residences. They have a plot map. They're showing the whole project. So Simon Residences 2, and it shows Simon Residences 2 on their plot map. There is no Simon Residences 1, right? And they're showing 3 pool areas, a basketball court, a fitness room, a game room, like I say, tennis court, and a clubhouse next to a seating area next to the tennis court. And that is what's supposed to be some of the amenities at this place, along with Simon Residence having a pool and all that, right? So now They send me something in 2024 in December. That's probably when it was. And they say, hey, we're going to do delivery, even though I haven't sent them any money, even though I haven't done anything. The whole time, though, I've been asking them, you guys going to send my money back? And there no response or no whatever. Can't get any response. So finally, I have Johan contact them, and after they sent me this, I said, "Oh, so you're going to let me buy it now? Whatever." And so he sends them a thing saying, "Okay, send over the documents on what to do." And then they said, "Oh no, he can't buy it now because he didn't pay." Okay, fine. So then I said, "Well, give me my money back then." And the Johan had to send messages back and forth. They said, "Yeah, we'll give you back 100% of your money." Okay, we'll wire it back to you. And I said, okay. So everybody agreed. The attorney agreed. I agree. We all sign off on it. So now Primavera wires me money, sends me the wire info confirmation. Money doesn't come. But I'm in DR doing the SSN Lifestyle Music Festival. So now I go down to the bank because they're supposed to send it to my bank, but they're using, I think it was Banco Popular. So I'm like, oh, well, then I'll just go to Banco Popular and find out why my money's not here. So I get to Banco Popular. Banco Popular, they go get the manager. Manager goes, starts checking his paperwork. Remember, they're in 1980s. So that means somebody actually had to sign with a name on it and process it. Not electronic, had to process it. So I go see him, knowing they're in 1980 banking. And he starts looking through his stuff and he's like, yeah, man, you need to talk to them. I said, talk to them about what? It's supposed to be 82. It's 8,200. 8,200 bucks. What do I need to talk to them about? They're like, oh, I can't give you any more information. I'm like, okay, well then who signed for it? Because since you're in 1980 80s situation, that means somebody had to sign for it. The dude's like, well, I can't tell you that because you know what? You're not a you don't have banking here. I was like, so what if I don't have banking here? You already know my ID I had to give to you, my passport. You know it was supposed to go to me. So why don't you just tell me who said it? Who actually sent it? And he wouldn't tell me. So now I have to call um, Johan, and he doesn't, he contacts them, whatever. I say, you know what? I'm here. I'm just gonna go see them. Because I've never been to their office. I get to their office. You know what I see? A buzzer. And who opens the door is a guy that has like probably a Glock on his hip, security. And I'm like, oh, so this is what we doing up in a real estate office? So you guys need security? That means a lot. Right there. I'm like, so you need security. So that means this little episode about you sending money to me isn't no coincidence if you got some security up in here. Now, I came unannounced, so that means that's how the guy is all the time. And that indicates bad business because you're going to have a whole bunch of mad people rolling up at your business. So you got to have security with a sidearm for real estate. Okay. So now I'm in there, and you know what they pull it while I'm in there? No habla inglés. There's only one person in the building that can speak English and all this BS. I'm like, you don't have English customers only. You got American citizens. They don't speak two languages. Let's get real right now. So somebody got to be up in here that can read, write, and talk. So they go to the back. They're in there for 15, 20 minutes because obviously they think I'm in the United States. They don't think I'm here. So I show up. I'm like, hey, I went to Banco Popular. They said there's a problem. You guys are the problem, not the bank, because they told us that it was the banks that was causing a problem. I said, nah, you guys are the problem. That's why I'm here right now. Surprise. They go back there, spent 15 to 30 minutes. Finally, some girl that comes out talking English, and she comes out and she says, oh, well, if you come back on Saturday, we'll have a check directly made out to you. I'm like, okay, we'll see. And so then I start messing with them because I'm like, it's funny. Why you have this guy at the front door? If you guys are so, great, that's weird. And they just look at me like, okay, this guy. So I leave. I come back on Saturday. So on Saturday, when I come back, they have a check for me, which I'm surprised. After they reiterated, we have a check. I pick up the check. The check says, does that say, there's a four in front of this? Does that say like 4,200 or something? I'm like, hey, this check is wrong. It's 8,200. You told my lawyer, you got me. I got it all in writing. This is 4,200. Oh no, we're gonna give you 44 or 42, whatever it was. It was in the 4,000s. I was like, no, that's not what we agreed to. Where's the person that was sending back these messages at? Where's your legal department? Bring them up here. All of a sudden, it starts getting a little tense because the space is not that big. Their office, their front desk area is no more than 10 by 7 or 8. So uh, after another 10 to 15 minutes, they come back up and they say, oh, we're only going to give you this. I said, hold on, I'm not going to accept this. I said, you know what? Well, here's what I'm going to do. Just leave this right here, and I'll be back in a few days, and we can discuss this. I'm trying to determine how mad I'm going to get, and I'm not leaving the island, so I figured I'm going to try and cool off, and we'll figure this all out in the next day. I'll be back on Monday. So I come back on Monday, and they still say, we're not going to give you the 8,200, I think it was. You're going to get this 4,000, I think it was 200. Sue us. I said, huh? Yeah, I see your program. I guess in this situation, 4,200 is better than zero. I could fight you, but then I'm gonna have to pay somebody. So I guess you guys are gonna get this little round of fun and game. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I will tell people about don't buy from your dumbasses no more. So I'll see you later, and that's it. So that's why I have only one potential place, and it may end up being zero, quite frankly, because I'm not happy with Larimar either. So there you go. That's the storyline. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Um, let's get back to the business at hand. If you're going to invest, even if you're, and let me do something else. Even if you're going to invest now, notice what I was talking about earlier about being on the east side of the island, where that's the most of the tourism go. Right, 60. What is that? 76% of all tourists landing by air on the island are on the eastern portion of the island, which is good because people want you to invest in Las Terrenas, which is by Samana, which is 1%. People want you to purchase in Puerto Plata, which only has 5%. That is kind of wild. If I have 800,000 people, then you're talking about 40,000 land at Puerto Plata. Now I got to worry about how many units are over there in Puerto Plata. And so, again, this is why the whole island has a low occupancy rate on average. Like I said, some people have 70%, some have 80%, but others have 5%, 1%, 0%, 10%. Way too many have below 30%, which is a huge problem. And if you're making investments in anything, you want to double check that. Now, here's the other thing that comes into the equation. You need to know the hotel occupancy rate. Again, tourism analytics, ladies and gentlemen, go over there. Hotel occupancy and tourist satisfaction is fine, but the hotel occupancy exceeding 87% throughout the month. The only reason we don't know the real number is because these guys seem to do generalizations. The real number should have been known, and tourism analytics hasn't posted the February numbers. So they're saying exceeding 87%, but it's probably, who knows what it is. It could be 87.5, 87.8, 87.1. We don't know what that actually is, but this 87% is significant. Why? Because if you are doing short-term rentals, you need to have 87, 90 to 95%, 87 to 95% is where you want your hotel occupancy. Why? Because that means people are going to want to stay at the hotels. That also means hotels will charge more money, which gives you, as a short term renter, a huge advantage. So that's why you want to see high occupancy rates. They charge more money. And now all of a sudden, if they charge somebody for all inclusive and they go, oh, it's $750 per night, you're going to have to pay 5 G's a week to stay here with you and your one or two or three people that's in your party. 5 G's, ladies and gentlemen, right? So I don't know how much they charge right now, but as we speak, this 87% is significant. So if somebody has to spend, let's just use a simple number. I'll use lower number. $3,500 for the week, all inclusive, which means meals, drinks, and all that. Then you turn around and you bought something for, well, I'll say $100,000. You charge $700 per week. All of a sudden, the person starts looking like, wait, I can spend $700 for the week, have $2,800 left to go to restaurants, hang out, and do what I want when I want, or more. Because you got to keep in mind, a 2-bedroom at one time, you can still get them 100,000 in some places for condos, right? And even villas. So if somebody was going to pay $4,000, 4,500 for a week, and now all of a sudden you're going 700 to stay, and that frees up 3,500. I don't know how you're going to spend 3,500 with 4 people, but it would be, seemingly to me, awfully hard, because for 120, 200 a day is only another 1,400. Your excursions, 400, 2 excursions. Your water park. I mean, it's going to be very hard to get to 3,500 more. You can do it, obviously, but that's a long way. And heaven forbid, like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, Hard Rock and all the all inclusives, they were charging people $1,000 per night during January, February, and March. 1,000. People were paying for the week $7,000, $6,500 per week, because the short term rentals weren't on the market. They didn't have that many short term rentals, but the occupancy rate was 87, 88, 89%. And during February and March, how about 90, 95%? So they were able to mark up their prices significantly. But then when the short term rentals came in, obviously that took a toll. So this is why, this is what you want to see right here. And unfortunately, last year, the average was 75%. 75% is not good. You need the average to stay above 80% in a true tourist zone country or tourist zone. You need it to be at 80, in the 87, preferably in the 90 percentile range, because they raise their prices, which now mean you get to raise your prices. So now, instead of 700 for the week, you're going to be good with 1,400 for the week. And now you make out like a bandit. So that's why I'm into this. Stop building, guys. You're not helping. Just because you're building more units, just because Hilton said we're building, just because Marriott said we're building, you're not helping. All right. So those are the things that you have to think about. No matter where you're investing, you need to know these numbers. So go to Tourism Analytics, look at the places you want to purchase in, and then go to Air ROI and go look at the places and see what their occupancy rates are right now. And are they going to be able to withstand adding 100, 200, 300, 500, 1,000 more units per year? Are they going to get the extra tourist numbers to keep the same occupancy? And if you only have 35% occupancy, then what are you going to do? How's this going to work? How's this going to work? Yeah, man. They shadow banned you again, Maine. Welcome to the SSN Nation. MDA 0214 first. The SSN Nation Financial Friday night live stream. And again, he said, how many do you own? I already answered the question, but I still had to get him in the house first. And Zabak the Midget, welcome once again to the SSN Nation Financial Friday night live stream. And he says they shadow banned you again, man. Man, I've been shadow banned ever since 2019. Just so you know, nothing ever changes. All my stuff is shadow banned. I get blocked from around the internet, get blocked everywhere. Once again, when you start doing things like no credit check, no qualifying, no barriers to entry, all of a sudden there's powers that be that says, hold on, what he's saying is all legitimate. He ain't doing this BS. That's they shadow ban. When you start telling people, hey, we can alter your credit so you can help yourself legally, do this, do that. I'm not charging you. Just get some PDFs. Here's the full rundown on what you need to do. Hold up now. Hold on. We got to restructure the credit. Not because of me. I'm just saying this is what these guys are watching. They're watching. I see you. Hey, I see you guys out there. You guys know who you are. All right. So they say, hey, I've always been shadow banned. Just put it that way. This ain't nothing new. You guys have no idea. Life is very strange. Tamara Larry, another investor keeping her eyes and ears open. Welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday night live stream. And she brings her tagline this evening. Hello, all. That's right. Hello, all. Very happy. Once again, everybody give it a one piece so the YouTube guys know that you're in the house. Also, has anybody seen the trailer yet? So far, I've asked on 3 live streams about a trailer. So far, nobody has ever said they've seen the trailer. They used to show the trailers. Now they don't. This is even crazier. Citizenry, welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday night live stream. Citizen Saray. I have been killing it in futures trading. My man. Oh, I am happy for you and your family. This is beautiful, as you should be. Very happy for you. We've been talking about this. This volatility is good for the winning team. That is us, ladies and gentlemen, the OCs. If you know how to trade, you should be in the markets. It's going up, it's going down. You can win in both directions, even futures. This is crazy right now. This is like once in a lifetime that you will have this type of volatility for these amounts, this significant change. High, low, 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 highs again, moving up. And I mean, they're doing everything to make sure that the stock market does not drop. So they bring things back up. People buy more. They do crazy stuff. In fact, you know what's crazy? Do you know Micro Saylor, the micro strategy, which is now called Strategy? They bought more Bitcoin. I cannot believe it. More Bitcoin. The reason why I'm saying I can't believe it is because it was like something like $75 million. And the reason I'm talking this is because just like in anything, they bought it a lower price. They bought it 18, 25 grand. Now, and then they bought it 100 grand. They bought it 115 grand. But the 75 is at $73,000. 75 million. So that means their dollar cost average is now higher than it was before. They're happy. I have to question this. I'm like, hold on, man. What if they pull the rug? But Citizen Ray, welcome, man. Very happy to hear this. Real estate is going to be on sale, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Stock market on sale. Just keep this in mind. You have opportunities, which now means I have to, out of just courtesy, I have to always talk about candlestick trading, Bible, because there's a lot of people that don't know anything about trading. Get yourself a broker account, get a demo account, start at least paying attention to the markets, get a handle on indicators, 200-day moving average, or let's say 200 candle moving average, whatever the case may be. RSI, if you want to go this way, all of this would not make any sense if you've never traded before, right? But Get your daily high, your daily low. Okay. Then go with the same hourly high, hourly low. Get your ranges in order. All right. Just saying. That would just be for starters. Hopefully that helps people out just for starters. Um, that is some pretty, major stuff in itself. And then you start paying attention to what works for you so you can predict your best information. And there's other ways you can do this. I'm just giving you some starter kit stuff, but the Candlestick Trading Bible, just start there. I put a link in the chat room. Also, I'm going to put a link on other platforms as well. Hold on a second. Let me do it this way. We got other platforms, ladies and gentlemen. Candlestick Trading Bible. Or go to stopstrugglingnow.com, and at the top, there's a menu. Just click on that, and the PDF will come up, and you can download it. All right? You don't have to use that link. Just go there and download it, stopstrugglingnow.com, when you have a chance. That's the first thing. All right? And oh, by the way, you can always get gear there. Just remember. All right? And there's a few other things that's there as well. But the point is, very well said. I'm very happy to hear this. I hope others have been doing the trading like Citizen Ray has been doing. All right. Terry Oville, welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night Live Stream. Where have you been? I've been here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm always here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. No fear, no excuses, ladies and gentlemen. We still rocking and rolling. But I can't say what's happening with social media. We've always been shadow banned no matter. Can you guys, what's funny? People would not believe it from the beginning when I told them on all platforms we're shadow banned. They were like, not possible. It's possible, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Don't worry about it. We're still here. It does not matter. Because you know how they do it. Let's just say you were making money, right? On the platforms. So how do you stop somebody from doing something? They always like to use money. So they restrict you so you don't make as much money, but you have to do even more work to try to make money if that's your goal. So once they restrict that, they figure, okay, there's no incentive for the person to do it because they're not making money. But see, that's not how I operate. It is incentive because I need all of you winning. I can't be the winner alone. We all have to win. Any information that I can share, we got to win, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let these mediocre people hold you down. That's the bottom line. All right. I don't need to make money from social platforms is the problem they have. So that's why 6 years I've been doing this, ladies and gentlemen, coming up in June. And I'm still here, regardless of shadow ban. In fact, demonetization, I was demonetized for over a year on 3 platforms. I just got remonetized, 6 months ago, 4 months ago, whatever it's been. All of a sudden I got an email talking about you're remonetized. I was like, what? I didn't do anything. I was like, okay. But they took away all memberships. They took away everything. So I have to start over. But so what? And Pinterest did that. They took the Stop Struggling Now. They banned my Stop Struggling Now on Pinterest. 300,000 followers. Yeah, exactly. Even though I didn't make any money from it, but still, they banned me. And then all of a sudden they said, well, if you want to sign up, you can't use Stop Struggling Now. So you can use Struggling Now or whatever I chose. I think it's Struggling Now. And Instagram, they took away monetization because they're associated with Facebook. So that is a funny thing. So you guys, this is why I just laugh, because we're still on podcasts, we're still on Apple, we're still on iHeart, we're still on all this stuff. Not monetized, but I don't really care. Does not matter. We're still giving you the information that you need to win. Candlestick Trading Bible, I would highly suggest everybody get into the trading game because job loss is real. Manufacturing jobs losses are real. Retail job losses are real. Robots going into the workplace is real. Artificial intelligence going into the workplace is real. You are going to have to do hands on to survive. Unless, of course, you're going to buy into this nonsense that you're going to be able to buy a robo taxi and sit back at the pad. Now, in theory, you could, but that means that you're on somebody's network. And as you can tell, I don't really trust people's networks because they can shadow ban you, they can block you, they can demonetize you. So therefore, you don't need to put all your eggs in that basket if you're going to have to pay 40 to 50 to 60 to 100 grand for a taxi that you're going to go out here and now you're going to sit there and go, yeah, I'm going to make money. But how many other people are going to buy a taxi? And by the way, do you really think these major multi-megalomaniac companies are going to sit there and idly sit by and go, oh yeah, we're not going to have any robo taxis. Nah, we're just going to let people buy a robo taxi for 50 grand and let them make the money while they sit at home. Stop playing with me right now. I'm not buying that game. Anybody else want to buy it? That's on you, but I ain't buying it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to real estate investing as well. All right. That's where I've been, Terry O'Vale. That's what they're doing, blocking me. They blocked for at least an hour today, and they blocked some of the new videos I dropped as well. But again, hey, if you guys see them, you see them. If you don't, I can't do anything about it. Whoa, he's live. Loper, welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night Live Stream. And whoa, he's live. Exactly, ladies and gentlemen. I was a little bit late today. It was all entirely my fault. It's okay because I wanted to get some things up before. And by the way, has anybody seen the trailer yet? I can't believe nobody's seen the trailer. So they're blocking the trailer. They can't be blocking the trailer, can they? Can't be. Come on, I don't believe that. All right, Tay, I see you in the house once again. Thank you so much for being here and welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night Live Stream. If you guys aren't in the stock market, you got to get in the game. First of all, there's several ways. You don't have to trade. Let's just say you want to do an ETF. That's fine. By the way, did anybody check mortgage rates rose up a little bit this week? Ooh, this is funny stuff. Once again, you guys here, the OCs, you guys in the SSN Nation, you guys know the real. Mortgage rates are not the Federal Reserve interest rate. It's actually the 10-year bond rate. So if the 10-year bond rate increases, mortgage rates increase. So when they reduce the federal funds rate or the Federal Reserve rate, whatever you want to call it, and they say we're going to reduce it 0.25 or 0.5, just remember they ain't talking about you. Unless, of course, you have a corporation and you're going to borrow from the federal government, then they're talking about you. Because instead of you having a 4.5, 4.75 interest rate, if they reduce it 1 percentage point, then they're going to have a 3.5% interest rate. They can borrow at 3.5%. Wouldn't you be so lucky if you can borrow for even 4.5%? Pay 4.5% interest? Instead of on these credit cards, 22, 40, not 40, 29, 33, 35, 18%. Your life would be a whole lot easier if you could only pay 4.5% interest annually. And your life would be a whole lot easier if you could only pay 4.5% interest only for 10 years for the loan you got on your card. I think you would be ecstatic, wouldn't you? But see, you're just an OC. You're part of the problem because they have to pay people. They have to pay workers. They're trying to get rid of paying workers. Don't you get it? Because once they don't have to pay workers, their expenses go way, way down. And if I have to pay you $110,000 a year, a livable wage, wouldn't it be mandatory on my part from a business perspective to make sure that if I'm going to pay 110 and I can replace you for 110 and then not have workman's comp, not have to worry about unemployment, not have to pay payroll taxes, none of that. So yeah, anything up to 110,000 that can replace you, where do I sign up if I'm a corporate owner? If I'm the CEO, where do I sign up, man? You mean I can replace this dude that I'm paying $100,000 to for a one-time fee of $100,000? And I don't have the liability of them not showing up, having to pay vacation time, and they're not going to be here and having to worry about all that. And I can just say, hey, robot, just run 24 hours a day for $100,000. I can live with having to pay $10,000 a year for maintenance. That's my liability. Where do I sign up? Good luck, Americans. Tay, hey. Very happy to see you once again, by the way, Tay. Thank you so much for your support. The Wire's in the house. Welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night Live Stream. He says those small hats really don't want you to win. Hey, The Wire, it's not me. It's you guys out there watching. They don't want us to win. See, here's the thing that a lot of people misunderstand. Let me explain. I love what you're saying. You are absolutely correct. When I used to tell people this 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you know what they said to me? They said, "No, Eric, our government doesn't do this. No, these people don't do this. This is not what's happening." I was like, "Okay, just because you don't know where you live, I'm sorry. I know what country I live in. I know where I live. And that's why I'm still going to beat their ass." But the point is, if you're not prepared, that's how they get you. You have to be prepared. They're going to rug pull everybody eventually. But some of us they rug pulled us a long time ago. And they put us in a system to where there's like, these people are too dangerous. So we're going to make sure people don't believe it until you have evidence. So when you say things like that, yes, this has been a thing for a long time. Like I said, I put some stuff in the ointment for federal government, for state governments. I did some stuff a long time ago, business wise, that was significant. Um, and so basically, when you have mediocre people trying to block people, there's always they. What they did was they block, but they don't realize there's always holes when they block because they're doing it for trying to destroy people. So once you realize legally you start using their own stuff against them, they're like, hold up. What's this? Do you know how old this guy is? Do you understand what's going to happen if this guy? No, we can't have this. So again, I used to tell people this 30, 40 years ago, and they look at me like, nah, this stuff doesn't happen. I'm like, dude. I said, what do you think is going to happen when computers get to be more powerful? Because remember, I'm a semi-hacker computer dude. So I was like, this is going to get crazy because they're going to be able to control what you see, what you read. They're going to control every aspect, and then your mind's going to be tainted. And the weak people are going to fall for their shenanigans. And they're going to fall for it against you and against me. And people don't understand. And that's why we come to fruition years later. And that's why I said back then, you live in a third world country, but you just don't know it because you're conforming. You pay your taxes. You don't know where your tax money goes. They take your profits from your business for what? See, all this stuff. They make you sick. Why? They taint your food and you think everything's going to be all right 10 to 15 years later. Wrong. There's going to be an epidemic of sickness for certain things, and they go, oh, we don't know how it happened. But meanwhile, they put bad chemicals in your water, bad chemicals in the ground. So the fruits and veggies that you grow come out with toxic chemicals in them. You eat them. And now 10, 15 years later, they go, we don't know what happened. If they make you sick, they make you tired, they make you broke, they control you. If they can't control you and you can still make money, and then making money is part of living a good life in America, then therefore they have to choke off how you make money. They have to always monitor if that's their goal, right? So that is the point. You're gonna win. You have to try. And unfortunately, some of us have more obstacles than others. It's that simple. But we don't mind the challenge because when you've always had a challenge, it's no big deal. It's like nobody gave anything. I'm not a trust fund kid, right? Trading takes at least 2 to 3 years to learn. Mr. Worldwide has said what I believe that I hear from a lot of traders. Welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night Live Stream. And I don't dismiss people who say this because I'm going to tell you something right now. I have heard my friends who've been trading for over 10 years, and people have come here and have said this exact same thing, that they were losing for 2 to 4 years before they were able to get successful. And this is also why we have to be fully transparent. 95% of first time traders lose money. Even traders that's been in the game, 90% of them are losers. This is why they have to sell the picks and the axes, AKA the courses, the signals, all this other stuff, because at least people who want to trade will give money for courses, learning, live stream memberships, and all this stuff, which makes sense. If I'm panning for gold, it makes sense that I'm going to have the store right there before you get to the panning for gold location. Picks, axes, pans, boots, trousers, jackets, pants. Here you go. As each day 50 people show up talking about, I'm panning for gold. It's a lot easier to sit on the sideline than to go down there and have like 10% of the people get some gold. 90% of people not getting a damn thing, and not sustainable for them to actually hang out over here in this barren wasteland, which only has a river, and you got to go build your own wooden house and no outhouses. I mean, outhouse, no running water. Yeah, that I'm doing the pickaxe and shovels. I got the place. You guys come get the stuff that's going to help you get it out the ground, because we got 1,000 people a day coming over here through our location. That's a hell of a lot easier to do than to go for risk of trading, because trading is a risk to me, just like he's saying. But once you get it, it's a wrap. I like what you say, Mr. Worldwide. And by the way, what is this Mr. Worldwide title? Hold on now. There's only so many people that have this title, man. Don't I need some pictures. I need some verification of this Mr. Worldwide title. Hold on. We got Mr. Worldwide 2 in the house. He's not here tonight. Now before this pit bull nonsense, I was Mr. Worldwide, first of all. So now I got to be like, I'm glad you added the 6399. I'm glad wherever you're for, YouTube. I'm glad they added the 6399 on there, so I can be okay with that. I'm just messing around, man. Kind of. But that's what my moniker was, Mr. Worldwide. My friends would be like, "You just came back from where?" Nah. Because remember, we're in America. Do you guys realize 146 million Americans do not have a passport? More than half of the adult population does not have a passport. Can when I found this number out because of this SAVE Act, that they're requiring Americans to have a passport in order to vote, I was like, half 146 million Americans don't even have a passport, so they can't vote unless they get one. And not everybody can get a passport within 24 hours either, because you don't live in a major city, and you're going to have the passport office there. So these people that mail stuff in are going to have to pay $200 or something to do a expedited so they can vote. By the way, that's a poll tax. So either the passports have to be free, or that can't, that won't hold. Well, okay, should not hold up. The Supreme Court should not hold that up. So, and again, 79 million women who are married and changed their name can't vote because their birth certificate doesn't match the name that they have right now. their maiden name from when they were born 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago doesn't match. So you have to go to a court. Oh, by the way, who gets court the same day or next week? So I got to go to court to change my name back to my maiden name in order to vote. 79 million women can't do that. And probably guys, because remember, women have been marrying each other for the last, what, 20 years? So they changed their name to whatever they deem as their husband name. So now you have these people that are gay who's married each the same gender. One of them have to also. So I don't even know if they're part of the 79 million. So when people go, we're trying to block whatever, when it's 0.00007 that anybody voted illegally over the last 20 years after 1+ billion votes, that's it, 0.00007. And they're saying we need to do all this for 0.00007 by the Heritage Foundation, by the way. The same guys that brought you Project 2025 that this administration is running. Yeah, they're the same guys. They actually tell the truth, just like they told the truth what they were going to do. And they told the truth about there's really no election fraud of any significance in America. But we're going to make sure we're going to tamp down who can vote. Women and these alleged illegals. Like, really? I'm going to say this again. If I go to another country, this is nonsensical. I go to another country illegally. I'm undocumented. I came across their borders illegally. Do you really think, raise your hand, you really think you're going to go sign up to go vote? Seriously, for what? For what? I mean, I don't understand. What are you going to do? You're going to give them your name, your address, and an ID. I mean, you're going to give them a fake birth certificate to boot, because no matter what state you're in, you have to show some ID. It's not like you don't. They have to know who you are. You're usually a resident first. That means you have property, you rent there, you have an energy bill and an electric bill that goes to the address you live in. You have to show something. So therefore, I'm illegal in another country. They have an election and I'm minding my own business. Nobody's bothering me, but I'm going to show up and go, oh, yeah, I live at such and such address. Okay, I'm going to put in a fake address, right? Okay. So let's say I put in a fake address. So how am I going to know where the polling location is? I'm just going to show up at a polling location knowing I'm illegal? Are you serious right now? I mean, okay, that makes no sense. Now, let's just say I'm going to use the address that I'm at, but I'm undocumented, I'm illegal. I'm going to actually give somebody the government in that state, I'm going to give them my address, knowing I'm not a resident or citizen of the United States. I mean, this is nonsensical. Who in their right mind would think that you're going to have 1 million, 2 million, 3 million people doing this? Have you lost? You really think immigrants are that stupid after they travel 1,000, 2,000 miles through cartel territory, walking with backpacks, with children? Are you serious right now? You really think they're that stupid? No, you know who's stupid? People that believe this garbage. That's how stupid it is. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. I got delayed. I got off track here. All right. But yes, Mr. Worldwide, I love what you're saying right now, man. That's beautiful. Man, I tilted and blew up all my pop firm's accounts to. What do you mean? How do you tilt, man? How do you tilt and why? Gary Wool, I'm sorry to hear this, man. And if I didn't say this already, welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night Live Stream. I am very sorry to hear this, man. I don't know how in this environment that you can burst all your accounts. All of them? How? How? Okay. I got to hear the story, man. How could you do this? I mean, what were you trading that would make you do this? Let me hear what you were trading. I got to hear this story. All of them? Oh, don't tell me you were doing the mirror thing. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, mortgage rates surged to highest since September, hitting spring housing market. And by the way, do you guys understand after the thaw? This is generally when people start trying to buy houses again. But just remember, houses have not decreased like they should have in most locations. In Florida, for instance, we have houses that have went down 20, 30, 40%. So they're in a whole different bubble because their insurance can't be covered. If your house is 15 years or older, you have to get a new roof in order to get insurance. Your insurance rates have went up 2 to 3 times what they were just 2 years ago. So there's a reason people don't want to buy there. It has to do with the infrastructure of owning a home, the HOAs. People are paying $1,500, $2,000 a month if you have a condo or something in an HOA, or if you're in an HOA residential neighborhood. So there's people here in the SSN Nation that live in Florida that live in a nice location. They're paying $7,000 a year for insurance. HOA is equally something like 8,000. Just those two combined is 15 grand a year. That's insane. It's going to get worse because they have no state taxes. So they have to bear the burden on your property taxes. And the insurance companies know you have to have insurance because you have a mortgage. So they're going to raise their prices with reckless abandon. So you're going to take a big hit, and people are like, oh, no, I don't want to get involved with this. And especially if a hurricane comes, they're not going to pay out anyhow. So let's call it what it is. And FEMA ain't coming to help you. All right. So just keep all that in mind. But I just want you guys to understand when we start talking about international, and by the way, there's something else that came up internationally. Yeah, his prop firm accounts, man. I can't believe how. Don't tell me you're doing mirrors. Judah Barak, welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night Live Stream. And I love it. Peace, fam. That's right. Peace, ladies and gentlemen. Peace, humanity. That's right. Peace, fam. Glad to see you in the house once again. Thank you so much for being here on this Friday night. Make sure, everybody, if you like what we're talking about, please subscribe to the channel. Click the all notification bell. Start talking about this. So let me explain some things that came to my attention recently. Pre-construction, not pre-construction projects, but banks inside of America, outside especially of America. Can you believe that they are making mortgage buyers get an insurance policy, life insurance policy? Can you guess who the beneficiary is? The bank. The bank. I could not believe my ears. I was like, this cannot be real. It's real. There's places all over the world that is starting to implement, if the person passes away, the beneficiary is, meaning they get your life insurance to pay off the loan. You pay for the life insurance. I'm like, this is against all rules. The only person that's supposed to get the life insurance is your family. Your family gets the money, they can pay off the loan. There is no way I'm letting the bank be beneficiary of none of. First of all, it's already hard for the bank to even hold money from me. You can forget them suckers. The first part, now they want you to let them be beneficiary on a life insurance. You know the bank has money, the bank has lawyers. You know they're going to put fine prints in there all over the damn place. I know this is going to be crazy because they're probably going to be like, oh, we get all of it. And they'll probably be like, we'll just add on an extra. He's paying us all this extra money. Why don't we just add on another $400 a month and increase the payout? Oh, and the person is already 45 years old and they signed a 25-year. The odds of them dying is pretty high before they pay this off. This is crazy stuff. This is a hard no. In fact, what we were talking about was Panama. A hard no. There's two things that was a hard no. That was the first thing that's a hard no. That was like no, no, and no. The life insurance policy is supposed to go to who you want it to go to. If you want them to have the house, so be it. Your life insurance policy will cover the house payment to pay it off. You put in paperwork, it's fine. But this thing about the bank's going to get the payoff money and my family's going to be where? The house is going to belong to who? I'm not liking that. All right. Just keep that in mind now. You guys, I'm going to tell you right now, do not sign this thing. I don't really care what they say. Do not sign that. Do not sign it. Do not buy. That's a do not pass go. So Panama's off the table. And come to find out, you know what? E White, Mo Better, they're the ones we were talking about this in the SSN Nation, our own little group. Let me show you. Let me get something else because I think it was E White. Hold on. Let me tell you the other countries since we're talking about domestic, international real estate. Hold on. Let me see something here. Let me see. Uh, Life insurance for mortgage. Okay. Mexico requesting the same thing. Crazy. Let me see. There's a list. Where's the list at? Let me see if there's a list. I thought he put a list in here. Let's see here. DR might be 7 Whoa. Yeah, see, they're saying DR might be doing it too. Mexico was required. Here we go. UK, Portugal, Spain, Greece, Cyprus, Malta, Turkey, and the UAE. Can you believe those are the ones right now? Okay, not always required for cash purchases. That goes without. I don't. If I don't need a bank, then that automatically remember that. Okay. Um, it's often mandatory for expats or non-residents securing a mortgage. If you have an existing international life insurance policy, it may satisfy this requirement. But yeah, they got to be the beneficiary. You got to give them the beneficiary. That's crazy to me. I'm not doing that. That's insane. So I'll just put it this way: if we're talking about the UK, Portugal, and all these guys, yeah, that's not even I don't know why you would invest in those locations. But UK, Portugal, Cyprus is cheap. Malta is kind of, I don't know. And what was the other one? Because I lost the list because I was going down looking through something else. But Portugal was hot a few years ago until they started changing up on their stuff. Let's see if I can find that again. Where was it? UK. Come on. I don't. I lost it. Doggone it. Should have just kept it there. Oh, here we go. All right. UK, Portugal, Spain. Spain. Interesting. Greece. Greece used to be cheap property too. Cyprus, but Greece is halfway around the world. Turkey. Ooh. Yeah. Okay. UAE, people do invest in UAE. So, see, even they started doing some shenanigans like this. All right. I'm not down. So, those places are off the list automatically. Just, I'm saying, for me, off the list. They can't get none of my love. All right. You showed up in my feed tonight, Kevin Globe. Very happy to see you once again. Thank you so much for being here and welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night live stream. Yes, apparently they released the hounds a little bit late. We were already running up about 30 to 45 minutes to an hour. So I'm very happy that you were online and you got the love. Thank you so much. And everybody, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure if you like what we're talking about, subscribe to the channel, click the all notification bell. Make sure you share the videos. That'd be appreciated. Now, let's get into something else that can help people because we're at 1 hour and 45 minutes in. Findhelp.org. Again, that can help you with mortgage help in the United States, rental help with down payment or something in the United States, and a myriad of other things, especially healthcare, job training, mental health, caregiving, bus passes, a bunch of things. More availability at findhelp.org. Put in your zip code and you will be surprised. Make the phone call. Some people charge a little bit, some don't. So find what fits. All right. Joshua Trees in the house. Very nice to see you once again. Welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night Live Stream. I fell off the wagon, Eric. Ate too many carbs. Number are high right now. Oh, don't do it, man. Don't do it. But it's okay. It's okay. Here's the thing, Joshua Tree, as long as the long term is better than the short term. So if you are eating properly, if you are doing everything you need to do day after day after day, there is no problem with one day going off the reservation. It's all good because in your system, remember, ladies and gentlemen, the good stuff is stored in your organs. Not only is it stored in your organs, it's stored some in your bloodstream to carry to your organs. And the more open and free your bloodstream is, if you go over these carb numbers and that turns into sugar, which now your insulin has to be activated, and now it has to regulate your blood pressure, it's doing what it's supposed to do. Now, when you get carried away and you say, I'm doing the carb overload today, tomorrow, the next day, the next week, the next month, and you make that a habit, well, you're going to find yourself with a few things. Either you're going to start having blood pressure problems or diabetic problems. Now, oftentimes your body can do this. They can say years. You can go years with sugar overload. But sooner or later, your pancreas and all that says, hey, man, I can't keep putting out this insulin necessary to put down this sugar because you keep throwing in 100 grams of sugar in my body like it's no big deal. 100 packs of sugar in an hour? Are you crazy right now? What are you smoking up there, man? We're going to get tired and we're not going to be able to put in some insulin. My kidney's not going to be able to flush this stuff out. It's going to be in your bloodstream. Then you're going to have some leukemias and cancers because it's taking it to all of your organs because it's in your bloodstream. You guys get the picture. So make sure you don't get all these carbs all the time. It's not no problem if you do it once in a blue moon. And we all got to do it. Like my cousins, they're here. They said, oh, let's go to the ice cream shop. I'm like, okay, I'm not lactose intolerant. And since I eat healthy, 99% of the time and already have in the necessary nutrients to combat any fluctuation in sugar level, my insulin works. So yeah, I can get myself 2, 3 scoops. I can eat ice cream all day, but I'm not going to make that a habit because the carb overload along with the sugar is not good for your mind. Because by the way, ladies and gentlemen, your blood carries your sugar contents. And guess what? Your blood goes through your brain barrier and that messes with your mental. This is why a lot of people have dementia and things of this nature, mental health issues, Parkinson's, an offshoot of it, because it creates plaque in your brains and it cuts down on your neuron, just like electricity, your body's electricity. So your neurons, all of a sudden, let's just say it's not efficient. So you lose efficiency, and then all of a sudden you lose that connections firing properly, fast, like they're supposed to, because you've put dirt on them. And then you double down. You say, I ain't stopping. I love what I'm eating. I love all this. And the doctor says, take this pill, so I'm going to be fine. I'm not going to go look at the black box. I'm not going to see what happens to my body once I take this medication. I'm going to be fine. No, you're not. No, you're not. It's just masking the situation temporarily and you still doing the same stuff. But guess what? Your body's a machine. You can reverse it most of the time, but you got to do something about it. By the way, I think I'm almost talked into making a video on health, a channel on health. That's right, with the wife. I'm almost. The only thing is, I if I do that, that means I do not want to give where I'm going to be suggesting to get the products to help you. This is part of my old business instinct. I want to actually produce the product myself, ourselves, because I know then that we have the top ingredients, none of this filler stuff in there that these companies don't talk about, no bad chemicals, add-ins in there, parabens, all this garbage, the real deal, the real stuff, the necessary proportions, so it's effective every day and minimize, if anybody is on medications, it minimizes it, or it doesn't have any interaction with medications, which is one of the things that's major. Some people are going to be on blood pressure, some are going to be on they diabetic, some people are going to be on other things. So now you need stuff that does not interfere if these people are taking it, because we're going to be putting things in your body that actually your body might wake up and be like, hold on, now that you're giving us good stuff and you've gotten rid of this bad stuff and you've given it to us enough, we can start functioning little by little. Keep it up. And then over 6 months, a year later, all of a sudden you go see your doctor and your doctor's going, what's happening? Your numbers are different. Because when you start repairing your DNA, when you start repairing your mitochondria, when you start repairing a whole bunch of your body's organs and now they're running efficiently because you've been able to get the toxins out, you've been able to get out those little those those pests that's in your body because you eat food. There's pests, there's organisms, and you can't get them out. By the way, you guys got to be eating some, for starters, pineapple is simple. You should have some pineapple consumption. Real fruit pineapple, not some slices out of a can, the real one. All right. Because pineapple actually gets these little bacteria, worms, and these bad things out of your body, right? You can start excreting them. So that's part of this curriculum. So if we're gonna do it, I was just talking with the wife today. I said, is there a company that can produce everything that I need that's gonna be in her shake that she made? And that shake that she made actually has a total body, which is unheard of. And I told you guys part of the formulas before. Blueberries are very, if you know somebody that has Alzheimer's, for instance, or dementia, or anything under dementia, you should be giving them blueberries straight off. You should be giving them avocados. That's the omegas. You should be giving them for their stomach and gut where a bacteria is. You need ginger, for instance. You should be giving them uh, those three. You should be giving them kale, by the way. Okay. So those are like the first four things. You should give them the vanilla protein powder by Orgain. So you get a little protein. You got to throw in uh, some fruits besides the blueberry. You could make offshoots, add blueberries and apple, add blueberry, apple, oranges another day. Throw in kale, throw in cucumbers, not cucumbers. Sorry, forget that. Zucchini. Throw in zucchini, right? So all of a sudden you start throwing in these offshoots. Then you say, okay, let me get some pharmaceutical grade cinnamon, turmeric, black pepper is actually a precursor for the turmeric to work better in your body. So you need the turmeric powder that has black pepper and turmeric combined in a powder because we're making a smoothie. So that's one of the things, right? You need a ginger root that you chop and put in the blender, right? You need lemon, and you put in some of the peel to boot. Avocado. The avocado that you have is fine, but put the actual seed in water. Then, because why? A lot of things people don't know. More nutrients is in the seed, but you can't chop it up because it's hard. You put it in water let it sit. Every time you use the avocado, You put the seed in the water, then check with it about a week later. You'll start stacking them up. A week later, try to get the one on the bottom. Then you slice it in very fine slices all the way through. This takes time. This ain't like easy stuff. You slice that all the way, and now that has more nutrients than the actual avocado does. So you put that in a shake with an avocado if you want, right? So all these things, when you start talking, you can stop this video and start looking at just those few things that I just mentioned right now. And you're going to be like, oh my God. Then you go MNM with an H at the end or not an H at the end. But again, it works well with NAD, which again, your mitochondria and DNA repair, that's what you need because people have messed up their DNA and their mitochondrial DNA, right? Because of all these chemicals you've been putting in your body, given to you by the government, FDA approved. So now, all of a sudden, you start correcting a lot of things. And all of a sudden, you go to like what happened with my dad. They went to the doctor. My dad is 89 years, 89. So he goes to the doctor, and the doctor pulls his stuff, and he's looking at this stuff going, whatever you're doing, you better keep doing it. He says, I don't even need to see you for a year. My dad was on, they have glucose, he had a glucose monitor on his, because he was what you would call, I guess, pre diabetic. So he did have to do some insulin every now and then. And all of a sudden he went in and he's like, you don't need insulin anymore. The little high blood pressure stuff that you don't need to take that no more. Whatever you're doing, I suggest you keep doing it. That's because he had the wife's there's a whole thing with it. I just gave you a few things for starter, but he's been on that for now over a year. And now he's not stopping because he saw what happened when he got the readout and they're all going, I don't this is unexplainable. Whatever you're doing, what you're doing. Oh, we're doing this shake thing. Oh yeah, okay. A doctor's not they're not in the health business. They're in the minimization business. If you have a problem, they have a pill for you that's going to make that problem work with your body, but it actually hurts you. But that doesn't cure anything. You need your body to function properly. And on God green earth, it's all here. Just so you know. All right, ladies and gentlemen. You can fall off the wagon, Joshua, but I know you're taking care of the other business, right? So no big deal. All right. If you're looking to live off trading without a long track record, good luck. MDA 0214. Hey, that's exactly what everybody's saying that's been a trader for a while. I'm not thinking anybody's going to be a winner right away. Even myself, I know numbers, I know this, that, and the other. Okay, but I'm not out here trying to live on trading because I understand my limitations. I haven't been trading long enough or paying attention good enough to be able to say, I'm going to sit here and trade and live off of that, because that would be a huge mistake on my part. Because even I thought I was better than what I really was, because when I started moving into more live trading, I thought I was on this 6 to 7 out of 10 ish trade wins and thought it was all good. In real time, like MDA said before, in real time, you may do things a little differently, but now it ended up being that when I was doing the demos, you didn't really have to worry. Okay, if this goes sideways, it was kind of like, okay, it went sideways, no biggie. But now, just like what we had tonight, I bust up my prop accounts. All of a sudden, real time, that the L side of it ends up being maybe a little more than the demo side. So now to make up the difference, my win side has to be a little bit better. So again, it's an adjustment slightly, but I agree with exactly what he's saying. All these guys, this traders, they are saying exactly right. You guys, you got to really put your mind into it, get in a good space. Money management is key. You have to do this right. Don't just think that just because you read something or just because you watch somebody's video, just because you think what they're showing you makes good sense as an indicators and it works for this instance, this is the Wild West. You need to pay attention. It's way more harder. So I agree with this. I love these warnings tonight because trading is very hard. Um, Welcome, TC. Very happy to see you once again to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night live stream. And he said, young eyes attract glitter like glue, running with the crew, doing everything they do. Okay, I don't mind running with the crew. I don't mind that as long as the crew is doing what you're supposed to be doing and making sure you're safe and not in government hands. That's all I'm going to say. Make sure you ain't in government hands. That's restricting your movement. That's it. Film videos. Mr. Dominican Republic aerial team is in the house. He's got some awesome videos, ladies and gentlemen. He let me use some of his videos in the past, and I love what he does. Welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night live stream, and he's in the DR situation. Hello, all. Keep pushing. Anyways, update on my Panorama Luxury to a whole new year, March 2027. And it was supposed to be now. Yeah, in fact, it was already overdue. And now you're saying they said March 2027? Dang. Wow. But film videos, I got to ask you something because this Panorama Luxury and all this stuff is going to be very, very interesting. How much did you pay and what unit did you buy? Because did you not get a studio unit and a one bedroom or something like that? I can't really remember. But let people know, if you don't mind, how much did you pay for your Panorama Luxury unit and unit size? All right. And what year it was, because it had to be 2022 or was it? Okay, hold on. It might have been late 2021 or 2022. I can't really. It has to be 2022 for sure. It might have been sooner. Also, I was told by a reliable source that they are waiting for people to miss their payments towards the end of the contract to cancel and void, returning their investment less 10% return. Yes, this is exactly what their game plan is going to be. You are exactly right. This is what happened with Larimar when Larimar was giving people their refunds because, quite frankly, I bought it Larimar. MDA asked me about where do I own it. I bought it Larimar. I had I had my contract scaled up. By the way, if you're going to do contracts, make sure you do three every 3 month payments, right? And the reason I did that was because after doing all the other deals, I was like, man, why am I paying these monthly fees, which were 1,300 a month or whatever they were, and these guys are always late. So I think what I'm going to do to protect myself is I'm going to make sure if my payment, I'll just round down. If my payment was $1,000 per month, okay, I'll use I think this is what it was, 1,300 a month. So if I'm paying $3,900 every 3 months, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 6 months where my payments are roughly less than that. It's going to be like, instead of 3,900 or 1,300 a month, I'm going to make it like 1,750, 2,000 for the first three payments that are 3 months apart. So I'm paying 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, but 9 months go by. This also means there's going to be an opposite effect, three payments on the backside, right? So that means the difference means I end up on the backside of the back end. That means it has to be 5 grand or roughly thereabouts, right? Every 3 months. So the last 9 months will be 5 grand. But see, that's going to be 2, 3 years later. So, okay, we're fine. But that gives me a way out early if I see things going a little weird. So that's what happened with Larimar. I had it where I said, okay, 10% down. I think it was 13,200. Then I paid them. I think what I paid them was, actually, I don't remember, 3 grand. I should look at my contracts and stuff. 3 grand, 3 grand, 3 grand. I think it's something like that. That's it. Because we rolled around. Okay. Again, story night. It's December 2023. We're at DR. Remember, this all started in October of 2022. It's December 2023. We're at the SSN Lifestyle Investor Forum. We have me and Mo E. White, Big G, the wife, and that's the inaugural one. We go to Larimar's offices, pop in, and the CEO, all the right hand guys are in the office. We're talking. We videotape. The owner doesn't really speak. He speaks English, but he doesn't feel comfortable. But he's there. We're recording. We have 45 minutes of talk and conversations. December 2023, they say. So we're like, it's a year and some months later. What's happening? They say, oh, don't worry. Either this month or next month, we should have our building permits. So we're like, what? It's already been a year, right? Over a year at this point. So we're like, okay. So we believe them, right? Because they're on the Spain Stock Exchange. So film videos, this is exactly what's going to happen. Fees and original price, not today's price. Exactly. That's their whole goal because if that's the whole point, you can't argue with that. If they're going to give you your money back minus 10%, I mean that's fine. I mean you can't argue. You shouldn't get appreciation anyhow because you're not going to buy it. So let somebody else pay more. But let me know, how much did you pay, by the way? Okay, so anyhow, story night continues. In fact, before we do story night, hold on. Mr. Worldwide was here. Hold on, Mr. Worldwide. Hold on, man. Let me do this right here. I got to do this. A commercial's coming up, ladies and gentlemen.
Come on, come on.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's right. Mr. Worldwide, poker player extraordinaire. Sponsored, so I wasn't playing with my money. I'm all over the place. That was at the Playboy Mansion. Yes, the famed Hugh Hefner and the Playmates. Yes, celebrity poker tournament in the house. Yes, that was at the final table. Yes, I busted out early. There was not, I think there was maybe 10 or 9. Doesn't matter. I busted out either 10 or 9. Like I said, ace 8 versus ace 2. I had the ace 8 all in, but the guy had me covered. And I'm thinking I might be good. No, a 2 comes up for the guy across the table. And I'm out of the tournament at the final table with the who's who in the house. All right. Um, and yes, there's who's who. And once I find the video, I have a video, but I don't know where it is. One of these days I'll add it into the repertoire. Um, More than that video. All right. Let me get up here. Film videos. This has been happening. This is, yeah, he says this has been happening. So anyhow, yeah, it's already happened to someone. Just say, in fact, most people should take the deal. If you, let me see, if Panorama Luxury, if I'm trying to think, a 1 bedroom was how much at the time? Wasn't it wasn't it 165 or something? Yeah, I think it was somewhere like that. So if first of all, you put down, well, actually, they were doing crazy stuff. So I can't speak for everybody, but some of these people, they made them put down what, 60% or some nonsense. So yeah, it could be a lot heftier. If they put down the usual 10 to 20%, and then they've been making payments all this time, and they end up putting down 40%. Let's just call it 60 grand. And then they said, we're going to keep 10%. You should be very happy. They're going to give you your money back and take the 54 and go. I don't really care if the property's worth 250. I'm trying to get back the money that I put in. So if they said 10%, just like with Larimar, I said, okay, you want to keep 10% of what I put in because I only gave them roughly, let's call it 20 G's. So if you want to keep 2 G's and give me back 18, the cost of doing business, I'm not going to bitch. I mean, if you're not going to give me back everything, and that's what they were already doing. They were giving people back their whatever they put in less 10%. So I was like, okay, but they decided, nah, I ain't going to send them nothing. But the point I'm trying to make is at December 2023, they're saying a month later, we're going to do this. 2024 comes. Remember, we're setting up the SSN Lifestyle Music Fest, so I have to be there. So I'm back a month later in January. I go to the office. I make a payment, one of my monthly 3-month payments. And so I say at that time, I'm like, hey, man, I thought you said that the permits were going to be done in January. You're possibly going to start building in January or February. They started this thing about you don't believe what we're telling you. We're on the SEC exchange and all this. I'm like, I don't really understand. No, I don't believe what you're saying because it's a year and a month and 2 months or 3 months later. And in December, you guys were pretty sure that you were going to have the permit either December or January. Here it is January 20th or something. You're not building anything out there. Oh, well, we had a little drawback. Maybe it'll be another month or two. But I'm like, but you were pretty sure it was like in December. Okay, fine. We still got September 2025 as delivery date. But nobody's built anything in 2 years. And you're trying to build 17 floors in 2 years. Unless you're using panels, that's impossible. So are you using panels? No, we're not using panels. I'm like, then there's no way you can build in 2 years. And so that's when things start going sideways. And I just basically said, okay, why don't you guys just pay for my unit then? Because why don't we just all, whoever wants to take up this bet, we both put in, it's a $5,000 bet. Why don't all you guys take the bet and we'll just have 30, 40 G's in here in the pot? And they're all like, no, no, no. I was like, why not? You guys are the ones talking smack. You're the ones that say, oh, we got the workforce. You're the one saying that you're going to do it. You're the one saying that you built stuff before. You're the one talking all this smack. I don't believe you no more because there's no way you can build in less than 2 years. You said September 2025. You only have like 2024. You only have January 2024, January 2025. You got to build 17 floors. The math doesn't work. Nobody can build a floor a month. Nobody. Nobody's building a floor in 2 months unless you're going to use panels. And back then they didn't use panels. So I was like, if you do this hand to hand, there's no way you're going to do it. And even if you're doing panels, you're going to be hard pressed to build this first phase section at all. So never mind the 4 towers. I'm talking about the downtown area you're talking about. I'm talking about the sports complex. I'm talking about the man-made lake and a 6 of the boardwalk. I'm like, this cannot happen. You're on a cliff. You're going to have to bust up rocks. And I said, don't you understand geography? The only reason you have a hill on an island is because it pushed it up. That means it's rocks. You're going to have to bust those up. I said, this is not even rocket science. Come on, stop playing with me. And that's when things start going south because then in January, I'm explaining this. And then I come back in February and March. Some there like February, March, April, even maybe. And then I go see them again because it's February, March, and April. And at this time, the SSN Lifestyle Music Festival location was supposed to be on the cliff at Larimar because it has a breeze. You can see the ocean. That would have been cool because it was supposed to be real estate investing, right? people up there on the cliff seeing it, having it. Well, we were hoping we would have 100, 200 people there, trying to get everything together. These guys say, yeah, no worries. We'll sponsor it. We'll let you put it up there. And a few other people made some stuff about we're sponsor it. Okay. Now I'm there, January, February. I'm like, hold on, man. This thing's going to be in May. So now I need to get this stuff all situated. So if you guys are going to put some money in or do something, whatever you're going to do, you need to make it be known now. This is February. All of a sudden, him and Ha. I'm like, wait, you know how many units I help you guys sell? I'm not getting paid for, I didn't get paid for all this stuff at all. And I didn't even bitch really. I didn't say nothing until you guys said I should get paid. At least Gennaro said, you should get paid. I said, okay, man. Well, what do you think? He goes, oh, you should get paid 1% for everybody that we sign up. Okay, fine, whatever. I was doing it for free. I said, because I love the project. So I said, just like I'm telling everybody here, if we enter into a money agreement, then don't F up, because at that point now I'm expecting compensation. So now you're going to mess it up if you all of a sudden say, I'm going to give you some money. And then you say, maybe, kind of, we got issues. So don't make promises. So I don't think, okay, all right, you insist. Okay, here we go. 1%, fine. So now I come in January. I go in their office, February, in Gennaro's office. I roamed in unannounced, obviously. They didn't know I was there. I'm just doing my SS and lifestyle music thing, getting that all together. I'm not really, they don't know I'm in town. I go to his office. You guys know what I see? I see Gennaro in his office with my video on the screen with two potential buyers showing my video, selling them the unit or units. They get up while I'm in the office and ring the bell, meaning they bought it. But my video's up and he's pointing, explaining it to them as I'm walking in, because his office is at the end and it's glass. So I'm standing there with his back to me, and the people are lined up because he's sitting at the head of the table and they're on the side. And I see him pointing and talking, and they bring in contracts. I'm like, what the? He's not compensating me for this, by the way. But I don't get mad. I just be like, all right, fine. I love the project. I don't really care, right? I'm not even into this thing, right? Because, okay. But now there's a few deals like Big G, because he heard about the Larimar project from me. He told him, he said, oh, you should give Eric some commission because I bought it because of him. Okay, Gennaro said, okay, I'll do that. Gennaro's a broker. His company, he's a broker, right? So I'll do that. E. White, me and him got mixed up. They thought I was him. He was me because the first name, they never checked the last name. So they gave him my unit and I got left over. But either way, it's fine. I still was on 11th floor. It's all good. With the ocean view. So we still all good. E. White's, I think, on the 14th floor, something like that, which may have been too high for me anyhow. But anyhow, the point is, so E. White does that. So they say, okay, E. White signed up. He said, because he came with us on December 3rd. So obviously, okay, we'll give him commission for that. Okay, fine. So now I'm getting ready to leave to go back home. This is like March. And they go, hey, we owe you commission. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. They bring me out the numbers, give me the stuff, and said, this is how much we're going to pay you. I'm like, okay, cool, man, whatever, we good. Now, I'm like, well, what about the sponsorship for the stuff? Because I still need the venue. I'm getting late now because this other dude faked on me that was supposed to be at Pueblo something. What's it called? Okay, it doesn't really matter. But like I said, when somebody does you wrong, you're no good to me. So I don't remember names that well. But it's at a beach club, and the guy says, Eric, yeah, I'll do it. And just come talk to me on Saturday. And I'm gonna have my assistant come. I get there. This dude has some other people there, and his assistant comes and talks. I'm like, well, why isn't he coming to talk over here? Then the assistant starts talking some BS, and I'm like, oh, hell no. She's like, oh, no, it's open to everybody, even though we want to pay, want you to pay X amount, or will it was like a trade off, so to speak, right? You have people coming, X amount of dollars, it'll be a trade off, but it's not closed off. And we don't want you up in this section. I'm like, no, that's not what he said. But then he didn't talk. He didn't come talk to us, right? Because I had what's his? It doesn't matter. I had another person there too that spoke fluid English, Spanish. So I just want to make sure we're all listening to the same thing. And so disrespect. He doesn't. The owner doesn't even come talk. After we talked to him about doing this, he said yes. He brings in another person. So now I'm like, I don't really care what you got to say because we ain't doing business. They're like, oh, doing what they normally do in the DR. Wait a minute, your place, you're gonna have your thing in May. It's already like 2 months before, 3 months before, whatever. You don't have time to find another spot. So now all of a sudden, I got to go find because I'm like, I'm not doing business with you. I don't really care what you got to say right now. Conversation's over, disrespect, don't even come talk after you said it was a done deal. So now I go down the way to another beach club. And now that guy, I tell him, hey man, because I've been down to his beach club before. And I said, hey man, this guy over here did me wrong. I'm coming over here to see if you want to do some business. And actually, your place is small enough. It's kind of cool. You've already had stuff here. Here, this guy goes, oh, no worries, man. I got sponsorships with the beer companies. I got all this. We do this all the time. And they do. They do DJs. So he's like, I'll let you have the place for free. And I'll keep the whatever people order. If you sell tickets, it doesn't matter. None of my business. You can keep the money. I'm like, oh, you're saying all the right things. I said, but we got a problem. It's open, right? Just like the other one. But, the sides are kind of closed. I can't remember the name of his beach club either. So I'm thinking everything's good. He says, I got you. So then I said, okay, man, this sounds like good. So now we start talking about, okay, man, we got to sign something or we got to do something. He says, I got sponsorship, as I mentioned. So I say, okay. He goes, but hold on. Let me check with the sponsors how much it's going to be. Let me know how much you need. Okay. So I go tell him, I say, I come back, I tell him, I don't remember the number, but let's say it's 25, 35 G's, right? That's how much it's going to cost me to put this on. Keep that in mind. All right. Something of that nature. I think it's 35 G's. It's 40. I know what the number is. I'll just use 35 G's. It's higher than that. But the point is, I say for the bands, the music, and all this stuff, 35 G's. You know what he says? He says, after he said all that garbage, he comes and says, 35 G's. Man, I can't get sponsorship for 35 G's. I can only get sponsorship for maybe 6 to 12 to 15 G's. So I said, great. I don't really care if it's 6 to 12 to 15 G's. Either way, if you can help with the sponsorship, we win anyhow. He's like, all right, man, all right. So now he says, come back tomorrow. We'll sign a contract or make this agreement work, yada, yada, yada. Okay, fine. I come back tomorrow. You know what he says? He says, hey, man, it's going to be May. I was just thinking. I'm like, you've been thinking. Yeah, in May, it kind of rains. And since we don't have any cover, maybe it might not work that good because you're going to have 2 weekends of 3 days. So maybe it it might rain 2 or 3 days out of those days, and that won't be good. I said, I know, but it was going to be cool on the beach. I'll take the risk of the rain, but check this out. I thought of that already, but how about if we have the guys put the normal roof on and bring it out here and put it down on the sides? So if it does rain, it's enclosed. So we'll have that covered. So it'll be all good since he's giving me the spot for free, right? So he says, yeah, that might work. So now I get on the phone, I call up the guys that do the tent stuff. And they're like, what's it for? I said, well, it's for a music event at this location. The guy says, I'll get back to you in an hour or two and give you a rate. You know what this guy came back with? XO Nadera. I see you out there. Thank you so much for being in the house. But this guy came back with, this will be $23,000 per weekend. 2.5 days. I was like, have you lost your freaking mind right now? This is in the DR, not American company shipping something over here. In the DR. They said some crap like that. I said, have you lost your ever? Hell no. I might as well just rent a building somewhere, a warehouse. Have you lost your? They said, well, that's what the price is. I said, not for me, it's not. So now I go back to that second location and I tell them, I said, hey, man, these dudes are charging some crazy number. That can't work. I said, that's insane. So he says, oh, man, I'm friends with the guys down at the park downtown, the water park, Caribbean Lake Park. I called them up after I told you what I did. They said you could have the venue for nothing. Same deal I have. And I'll put you in touch with this girl. All right. Yeah, film videos. I want to get to that because that's the whole point. All right. Easy to blow an account. No strategy is 100% accurate. And if you're over leveraged, that's correct. And emotionally compromised at the same time, that's a bad recipe. Exactly, MDA0214. That's what you call tilt. Like he used the word tilt. That's what we used to call it in poker too. Because once you get into bad trades, then all of a sudden you're like, well, let me do it this and that. And all of a sudden your mindset just gets blurred and you could easily blow accounts. It is true. So I can understand how it can be blown. It's not really that hard, not at all. And keep in mind that they don't give you a normal range. So again, I was looking at a $50,000 account with, I can't remember who it was, Take Profit Trader maybe, and I think their drawdown was 2,500. So you can only go below 4,750. So your leverage is less than $2,500, which also means if you're trying to stay within money management ranges, I mean, even if you said, I want to last a week and you divide that by 2,500, that means you could only go like 300 below 50. You can only go to 49,700 for a stop loss. I mean, that's pretty tight. And in fact, the 2,500 is pretty tight, but when it's real money and you're using somebody else's money, they're allowed to put on restrictions that are real tight. But that's very tight, in my opinion, especially even if you use small lot sizes, you're going to have movements, $300, $500 movements. Come on. That's pretty tight. Although it could teach you to pick optimal times to trade, but all it takes is just a little run down and poof, or a run up and poof. I mean, so it's easy to do that. So I agree with all that. This has been my best year in trading too. Paid off my mom's house finally. Oh man, TC, well, at least you were profitable enough to do that. So that's the caveat. And you're using props. So that means you can go back in with your $110 or 25, whatever they charge now. And or less. Some places charge less, but you can go back in and, pass the test and get back in if that's what you want to do. But that's very good to hear. There we go. The world above says only the strong will survive. If I die, press play to bring me back to life. I love it, man. I love it. So anyhow, let's end the story, right? So now we go over to Caribbean Lake Park. These guys start talking in the end of March. So they say all the right things. I have a representative at their place, and I'm thinking I want it in the back where the nightclub is, because they have a place that's open air like cabana, but it's huge, and all it was going to be was a small venue type location, but it was basically for real estate investing. So we have 10, 15, 20 people would be fine. If we have more, great. And so now all of a sudden we go look at the place and it's supposed to have food. We always got to have food. No matter what venue I do, we always have food. Now the restaurant is up front. This pavilion's in the back. That's a long way for food to travel and go back for pickup and delivery, right? So they say, hey man, we'll just give you the buy two restaurant up front and you don't have to worry about it. So that's how it all starts. I'm like, okay, cool. Just what the guy said at the beach club we can do now over here. Yes, everything's going to be fine, Eric. But as we start, so another few days go by, then all of a sudden things start changing, right? It's like, well, actually, we normally charge $5,000 per day or per whatever it was, 5 grand a day to use the facility. And we're going to have to cut off the whole venue. So it's going to cost you 5 Gs. Or we can separate it down the middle and it's like 2,500. And it's like where the stage is, there's no reason to be way over here on the left hand side because that's all open space. The sound is coming directly down here. So I was like, well, just give me half of it. We can block off the other half then. People can walk around. I don't really care because that's not even what this is about. This is a real estate investment thing and it's going to be a music thing too. So it's all good. So that's what it ends up being. It ends up being where I said, you know what? You guys have new projects. And now I have my own business there as a broker. So now I forget the 1%. It's a broker account. It's much more. All right. 4, 5, 6%, 7% in some instances as a broker. Right. So now I said, okay, I'll just be a broker with you guys. And since it's here, we can actually sell. They had 3 projects. We can sell one here, one at Counter Rock. Well, the second one's at Counter Rock too. They had 2 at Counter Rock, 1 here. And they're going to have a silver membership where people that buy get to use the Caribbean Lake Park for whatever unit size they buy. They get to use everything at the park. So everything's sounding great. I was like, and they said, okay, so we'll do a deal where you don't have to pay nothing. And if whatever you do as sales, you get to keep and we'll give you your commission for the sales. So I'm like, cool. Having it all this in writing, this, that, and the other. So everything's good. Now, he says, I'll have a contract for you in a few days. He sends me a contract. I'm looking at the contract and all of a sudden I see like some little fees or something, right? And I'm like, wait, we didn't talk about this. So now it's, oh, well, we got to change it. We'll take off the fees, yada, yada, yada. So now another 2 or 3 days go by. Hey, man, you got the contract. So now all of a sudden it's another week gone by. And I'm sitting there like, hey, man, we got to get this handled because, it's only like 8 weeks, 7 to 8 weeks before this thing. That doesn't even give me time to market or anything at this point. But I really didn't care because I wasn't really, the music thing was just something I was doing. It wasn't like, I was like, I don't really care. But it was going to be cool. So I said, okay, no problem. We'll get this. He sends me a contract, next contract. All of a sudden in this contract, it's saying something about 5 Gs. I'm like, where did this come from? 5 Gs. I got to pay you 5 Gs. Why? The venue's supposed to be, oh, you got to pay 5 Gs for insurance. I'm like, you're supposed to have insurance. What are you freaking talking about right now? Oh, well, it's not that. We need like a deposit in case you guys break something. And what? I'm like, okay, but either way, you have insurance. You're the venue. What are you talking about right now? So I was like, nah, you know what? I'm just going to be like, cancel. Because at this point, I can't even sell tickets and say where the venue is. I only have 7 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks. So this is all like a moot point. We're going to have people coming here from the investors forum anyhow. So it's a moot point. I'll just cancel. They go, no, 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 don't do that. Loper. Again, you can live off a half glass, half full or empty. You choose. Exactly. The glass is never empty, man. It's only half. That's why you always can go again. It's not fully empty. You got ammunition. Remember those duffel bags of cash. Larry, Will XO, welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night live stream. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we started this off with Dominican Republic real estate investment overseas. Let me know what you have invested in overseas. Film Videos has told me he was in the Panorama Luxury Part 2, Section 2. He never told me how much he paid for it, though. I hope he did down below because I haven't been checking messages. Because again, this right here doesn't scroll for me freely. But anyhow, check this out. Some people, man, I can feel they have demons on them. You got that right. The energy vibe just switches and changes in the air all of a sudden. Exactly, man. This is what it was like over there, man. After I stayed there predominantly for 3-4 months, man, it was a whole different ballgame than just being the visitor, tourist, broker, real estate dude, because the demons were all over the damn place. So these guys, all of a sudden, I say, no, man, we're not going to do this. So they take off the 5Gs. Fine. Now I'm like, okay, but we're down to like 6-7 weeks at this point since you didn't bring up a contract and sign it. So they take that back. Now all of a sudden, 4 or 5 days later, they come, contract looked good. Now remember, contract is by email. They send it to me. I see it. I read it. I do it. Now I'm expecting them and their office to produce a contract. Another 3 or 4 days goes by. I say, come down there. And I'm like, hey, man, you got the contract? He's like, come back to my office. I got everything all ready. We go back there. It's on his computer. It's not printed out. He's like, oh, I got to get my office to print it out. Come back tomorrow. I come back tomorrow the next day. All of a sudden, this is now 7-6 down to 5 weeks and some days. All of a sudden he says, well, I have to add this 5,000 deposit. You got to put something down. I said, why? That wasn't the agreement. And so I say, okay, man, it's for if something happens, then I get it reimbursed. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So I shipped them over 5Gs. So now we still don't have it signed. And he comes up with, okay, man, we're all set to go. So another 3-4 days burnt off. I'm down to it like a 4.5 weeks to go. But I still say, okay, no big deal. It doesn't really matter. So now I'm thinking everything is done. He brings over a contract. There's some wording that I don't like that's not in the original agreement. So I say, hey, man, you got to take this out. He's like, yeah, you're right. I got to take it out, right? Like, just like this is a game or something. So he's got to take it out. So he's got to go back up. So come back the next day, whatever. Okay, fine. Come back the next day. All of a sudden, he starts this, yeah, man, but the liquor thing is like 5Gs. I'm like, what are you doing right now? You know what? I think I'm going to cancel. You know what? Forget all that, man. I'm calling up my bank and being like, nah, man, this stuff ain't working for me. So he's like, hold on, man. Don't do nothing, man. It's all good, man. It's all good. No. I'm like, nah, it ain't all good. I'm canceling. Forget that, man. It's a wrap. It's done. It's over. So now he says, okay, man, everything is as it is. The 5Gs is fine. That we got the deposit, whatever. And we're going to roll. You know what he says by accident? He says, well, I don't even know what the big deal is. You sold like 2 or 3 units up front. That's the VIP, and they're $5,000 each. So that's where they got the 5,000 from. He went online and looked at the ticket sales, and he says, oh, this is how much you have. I said, so this is why you hem and hawed, because you actually saw this? I said, we kind of got a problem right now, even though we've been cool. But now we got a problem because you were counting my pockets, and that's how you were negotiating. You were fraudulent. So this extra stuff was based on because you thought I sold tickets. I said, but here's what actually happened. We're going to have problems from this point on because I'm still going to do it. But here's what actually happened. Somebody was trying to buy tickets at $5,000 pesos. The system took it out to act like it was a sale. but it was not a sale. It just took it off so nobody could order. And they tried it twice. So that's why it showed two 10,000 together, five each sold until the system was going to clear it and say, hey, you made a mistake. You have to use USD. Please pay in USD. They didn't pay in USD because they weren't trying to buy the whole table. They were trying to buy a ticket. So the system, because they wanted to pay it, they picked USD. And that's why it got ignored, because they were paying 5,000 pesos or 6 or 7, whatever it was. I can't remember. But the fact of the matter is, he was counting, looking at our ticket sales, and that's how he was negotiating. That's where this extra money was coming from, because he thought I was making money. And I'm like, oh, so you're like that. Just because I'm making money, you're supposed to siphon it off from me instead of doing what we were talking about. So then that changed the whole dynamics of the thing. So now they're adversaries. So now I'm like, they said we're going to do it. They already have 5Gs. So now here we go. With about a month left, I now have a way to try and do something that is impossible. So we pull it off, obviously, because I got to pay myself to make sure it goes off, right? My friends are coming that are actually members of bands, and they're coming, and I got to have hotel. We got to have their eats. We got to have their transpo. We got to have all that stuff. And we're talking about 15, 20 people. Try to fly 15 or 20 people into anywhere that's outside of the country. And you start remembering how cheap that's going to be, right? Try to have 15 people stay for 4 people. No, two people stay. No, three or 4 people stay for 4 nights. 2 people stay for 10 days. And 10 people stay for 5 nights in a hotel that's inclusive of food and the AC hotel. So you guys can figure out the numbers. You can go to AC Hotel right now and you'll see the numbers. And you got to have 10 rooms each night for 3, 4, 5 nights. 10 rooms, 5 nights. You guys can go look up how much it would cost. Then figure out how much airfare is for 10 people from West Coast to Punta Cana. 10 round trip flights. You can go look yourself. That's just for starters. All right. So all that has to come out of the pocket of the promoter, which is my company, SSN Lifestyle SRL. All right. So crazy. Some people, man, exactly. I get like that when driving through various neighborhoods. Yeah, this life is an MFer, the world above. Exactly. You guys, you got to watch your back in here. Came in late, RT. Welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night Live Stream. We've been on 2 hours and 45 minutes. The story night got longer based on DR activities, finessing. And by the way, because of the SSN Lifestyle Punta Cana Investors Forum, this is why after that was over, after I had to deal with, can you imagine, we're in DR and I go and need sound equipment. And I call the sound equipment guys and they're telling me $1,500 per day. 3 days is $4,500 for speakers and sound and mics. So they're going $9,000 for 6 nights. That was one quote. Another quote was even more outrageous. $12,000 for the 2 weekends for speakers, mics, and a board. And obviously the engineer to do the board. I was like, what the hell is wrong with you guys? Are you serious right now? So I'm going through the mall. and I see a new venue that's in the mall, downtown mall in Punta Cana, and they're bringing in equipment. And I talk to the guy, and I'm like, "Hey, man, you guys doing music right here? It's open air in the back, kind of thing." And I'm like, "Wait, what's going on?" He goes, "Well, you need to call my boss." This guy comes in with the normal, what I'm going to call normal DR price. I don't know what's normal, but all I know is when the guy goes $500 a day. I'm like, now that's more like it, because I can tell you right now, there is no way on this planet that there's any DR acts that's paying $1,500 a day for their sound. I said, this is crazy. I said, but I'm going to tell you what, I now know why only big name artists are going to come play here, because if you're charging us this kind of money, that's ridiculous, right? So now all of a sudden my perspectives have changed. I got some guys promoting my stuff. So I'm paying guys to do promotions on the island, right? All that was donations, because everything they did was probably fugazi, right? No, did not affect how many people came or anything, right? So that ground game didn't do anything. So I wasted money on that. But in the meantime, the venue wasn't helping either that much. They charged me like $500 to put the billboard up top, up front on the road, which again, we're talking about a week or two before the event. How effective is that going to be? Not very. And keep in mind, $40 for live music is overpriced in DR. So nobody wanted to pay the $40, right? This is why you don't see American acts in DR. That unless they're big time, and then you don't see many that come back unless they're Latin based or big time, right? There's a reason, because the cost is outrageous what they're charging the American acts to come in and perform, and how much it's going to cost. Because there's no way they're charging this for acts on the island. There's no way. Because they're the DJs they bring to the island. They're getting 6,000, 5,000, 8,000, 10,000 sponsorship money. And the DJs have to bring their equipment specially packed, bring it through customs and do all this, and they have to get there. So they don't pay that much. But that's why there's a whole bunch of DJs that come to the island. And if you're there and you do live music, you have a premium, because you're not going to get hardly any acts coming in on a monthly basis, unless it's like the Heat or like there's a special Latin event. So learned a lot, came in late. Okay. Wiser than most. Welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night Live Stream. Thank you so much for being in the house. See, I don't know everything, but in my opinion, I will voice. As long as I can choose, I'll choose the right or the wrong choice. There you go, man. That's how it always works. You always have a choice. They double crossed you. Exactly, Loper. That's the ultimate end game, because ultimately we had a few sales. And then after the few sales came, they were like, oh, yeah, we're going to send you a little kibbles and bits. I'm like, what are you talking about, kibbles and bits? You're supposed to send me, whatever it was, 6% of whatever. These things cost 200 G's. That's like 12 G's per. No, man, I think you owe me 30, 40 G's. What are you talking about? That was the agreement. Yeah, now they're changing them. So now we have beef. People owe me 30, 40 G's. We got beef. Sorry. That's how it works. You don't get to smile in my face without repercussions, is my opinion, right? So, anyhow, luckily, I say I'm a lot older. Jardine says Tamara Larry. Yes, Tamara. They've reduced their price 2 to 5 G's, but basically they're up to 77 G's. 77 G's for a 1 bedroom now. At Jardine's 4, which is still doable, right? It's still possible. Okay, let's just do this. It's Airbnb. Since we're talking about Dominican Republic, she's interested in DR. It's 77 G's right now, maybe 75 G's for a 1 bedroom. It's what is it? 105 for a 2 bedroom. The reason why cost to produce increases. Or you can buy one that's already done And that's going to be cheaper because nobody's going to really be buying. But then you might need cash or have to go to these banks or whatever. So we're going to go to Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. We're going to go where Jardines is. And I'm going to put in a price like I'm going to put in, this is prime time. So I'm going to put, even though it's kind of close, they might have special. I'm going to put in March 27th through April 3rd. I'm going to put this on the screen eventually. Just give me a second because I want to pull up. It's hard to get to the Jardines area. You have to know where it is. It's in Pueblo, Bavaro. All right. But now I'm going to bring up the screen. So, anyhow, these guys owe me all this money. Now they start hemming and hawing. Well, actually, it's even worse than that. They send me an email talking about, yeah, we after everything's said and done, we calculated ticket sales, we calculated the food sales that you get part of, we calculated all this stuff. It should be around $2,500 or $4,500 or something like this. Ultimately, but I didn't get the email though. That's the funny part, right? So I didn't know nothing about it. I'm sending them a message like, "Hey man, when are you going to send me back my 5K for the deposit part?" Nothing got broken, nothing happened, everything's good. When you send me back to 5K, my boys were going, called me up and said, "Hey man, that venue was so awesome. We should come back next year." I said, "Yeah, man, you want to do it?" They're like, "Yeah, man, but we're going to start promoting it on radio and everything in the next 2 to 3 weeks for next year." I said, "Exactly, man. I guess if I want to be in the music business, that's how we should do it. And you guys are the experts at it anyhow. So I'll let you guys handle the ticket sales and do whatever." But I said, "Hold on. These dudes owe me like 5 G's. They owe me more than that." I didn't tell them exactly. I said, "They owe me like 5 G's. I got to see if they're going to even give me my 5 G's back first. Then I'll call you in a few days." That's when I call them up and said, "Hey, man, when you sending me back my 5 G's?" They go, "Oh, no. That's part of the calculation. It's already whatever." Now, mind you, I didn't know what they're talking about because I didn't see this email they sent me. They did send me the email, by the way, but I didn't see it because I get so many emails. It went to spam, so I didn't know anything about it. All I'm saying is where my 5G's for the deposit because that should have came back instantly. There shouldn't be any after figuring out some balance or something. Where's the 5G? So they said, "No, we're not sending it back." I said, "Okay." So I called my boys back that's in the music biz. I said, "Oh, there's not going to be anything happening in the DR right now, man. You don't even think about it." I said, "They're not even going to send me back to 5G. So what makes me think they're going to give me the other money that they owe me right now?" So no, cancel, not going to happen. In fact, I don't really care about this thing over there for them because actually it's for them and us. But I said, "F them, not happening." He says, "Okay, we are willing to come back next year, man, with more people. And then we're going to have some Latin people, some of the Latin artists. We're going to, I said, "Yeah, that's how it should have been if I'm music, but that wasn't supposed to be music. It was like real estate." But I said, "That's a great idea." He says, "Yeah, you're not a promoter." I said, "No, it was just going to be a thing. You're my friends. You guys were doing it. I'm paying you." And by the way, I pay my friends. That's right. They didn't come over there for free. I actually had to pay for their band to come. I gave them each their money. I didn't say, "Oh man, I can't. I gotta give me the our friendship deal." No, we ain't friends like that. How much? How much you charge? That's how much I'm giving you. Yeah, they cut me a little slack, but no, they're not coming over there saying, "Hey, give me 1,000 or two or three." No, I can't. I don't want them to give me that deal. They're in the business, so I have to pay them. So I pay them what they say they want. I'm not going to haggle. What you say you want. We're friends. Okay, you're going to give me a slight discount, yes, but I don't expect you to come over for free or minimal amounts. So they told me the amounts. I gave it to them. That's how you're supposed to do business with your friends, right? Your friends should get paid. They're professionals. They should get paid as professionals. You shouldn't be going there, "Man, we're boys. We known each other for 20, 30 years. You should give me a discount." No, no, no. That ain't the talk. I know they're going to give me a discount, but I don't expect them to do it for minimals. They're professionals, so they can get their professional fee. So that's what they got. So that's on top of their hotel, airfare, and their fees, right? So you can imagine when these dudes are sitting over here effing around with 40, 50, 40 G's. Actually, I forgot about the 5. So we're in the 40 to 50 G range, and they're effing around playing games. You can understand I get upset. And they're sent me this little 2,500, 15, I don't remember what it was. It was under 5 Gs. So Jardines, let's get to this. So needless to say, after that happened and after Larimar faked about the sponsorships, Gennaro faked, Larimar faked, the thing at the cliff, that was all BS too. Now I have a problem with them because, we sold over millions of dollars worth of property and I didn't get paid on it, right? So now I'm like, hold on, you ain't even acting as a friends. So now you're just trying to jack me all the way around. I'm like, okay, we can't do business no more. So when we come back, that's why you don't see any videos on Punakana at all on the channel anymore. You might see one or two because I didn't find it because we have over 1,000 videos on here, right? Okay, let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Here you go. And by the way, give credit to the wife. Why I'm not locked up in DR right now. Because she's the one that talked me out of doing what I should have done. Because it ain't about the money at that point. I'm just going to tell you right now, she talked me out of it. I told her to stay here. And she goes, I'm coming. No, she says, you're not going to the island by yourself. I said, no, you need to stay home. I need to go handle some stuff. And she's like, nah, you ain't, nah, no, and no. Okay, here we are, Pueblo Bavaro. And in all fairness, the short part of the end of the story goes, I go to DR. Okay, so that was May 2024. Tamara Larry, I was going to have investors forum later. I think it was later that year. Has it already been that time frame? It was later that year. We had Punakana Investors Forum. I think it was later that year. Has a year and a half gone by that fast? It seems like just last year. But anyhow, I can't remember the dates. But whenever Tamara Larry, her family comes, she says, I got tickets for it. I say, okay, I'm coming. We go. I think it was last year. It had to be May of last year, right? Yeah, May of 2025. Yeah, that makes sense. I think it was May or was it November? But anyhow, it doesn't really matter. So Tamara Larry comes over, interested in investing in Vistacana, and it doesn't end up working out. And she goes over to Jardines. That's why she's talking about it now, because at that time, Jardines 4 was selling for like 56 to 59,000 for a 1-bedroom. That price is no longer on the table. Maybe at Jardines 3 if I can find it. But again, we're on the screen right now. See this Pueblo Bavaro? That's where Jardines 3 is, and 4. And you can see now, again, we're going to find out. I'm going to guess where it is by price. I'm going to tell you right now. The odds of this being Christopher. Wait, where's it at? How did I? Oh, there we go. Okay. The odds of this being Christopher is. Wait. Okay, I'm not there. Let's go. That's okay. Here we go. 336. Let's see what this is. Where is it? Let's go. 336. The only way I'll know is if it's outside because no, that's not it. 534. You can tell Jardines. That's why I'm scrolling through. This could be Christopher across the way. Yeah, see, this is Christopher. So let's go over here. 431. Let's see what this might be Jardines right here. This is Jardines right here. Because there's the kiddie little area, and then behind there's the basketball court. Here's the pool area. Right. Look at this. 431 for the week. A 1-bedroom. They bought this for less than 60 grand. So if you go 60 times 7, it's 420. They're under 0.1%. So this gives you an idea of, okay, are they getting it? I don't know because it's still available at the moment. Is other people getting? They had stuff like the 300s, which is all valid because people were able to buy their 1-bedrooms at 50K, 56K. So that means 375, 400, all this stuff right here is within the ballpark. If you can get a high well, not even high, 50% occupancy rate, you win in double digit returns. That's why buying at a lower rate at the right place they're doing gentrification in this section. Okay, this is not them. Here we go. This is them again. Is this Jardines? Hold on, maybe not. This would be Jardines 3 if it is. It kind of looked like it on the other side of the pool, but I don't think it is. That's just another property in the area, 447. This is Jardines right here for sure. 447. Look at this, 2 bedroom. 447. Well, 2 bedrooms were only 70 G's. 7 times 7 is 490. 523 normally. They got a discount. 447, 5-star. So again, if you can get in this ballpark and you have a 50% to 60% occupancy rate, which I don't know, but that would give you over 10%, even with 25% management. By the way, this is without a mortgage though, but with a mortgage, then you're going to drop into the single digits, right? Because you're going to use the money to pay your mortgage. If you're not using money to pay the mortgage, then you're going to have 10% or 12 or 13. As long as you're over 50%, you're in double digits already. If you're lucky enough to get 60, 70%, then obviously you have no issues whatsoever for the rest of time that you own here, because you already can charge this every year and increase your occupancy rate, because next year the cost for most people is going to rise, because anybody that buys in Jardines 4 is going to be paying 77 grand for a 1 bedroom, not a 2. The 2 bedrooms are over 100, 105 or something. So there's no way they can charge 447, right? And still make money. And so they have a huge advantage. Just saying. Better to buy at Jardines 3, somebody that's already purchased and they're willing to sell theirs for 50, 60 G's because they're not making money on the rental, right? Because you have to market this a certain way. You just can't put up an IKEA kit and do fine. You need to make it look nice, appealing, and that goes a long way with people staying there. All right. But anyhow, just letting you guys know that no matter where you are, that always matters. All right. So that's your Jardines. Okay. That's your Jardines, everybody. That's it. We're going to wrap this up tonight because I'm going to get off. And we're going to, this is 3 hours and 7 minutes. I went too long, unfortunately. Got turned off. Divine Transit in the house. I see you. Happy you listening. Long time no see, my friend. Glad you're safe. Thank you so much for that, man. Appreciate it. This is on other platforms. Appreciate everybody. Make sure no matter what platform you're on, smash the like button, hit the heart, hit the star, hit the check box, hit the box, hit whatever it is to let them know you're in the house, and subscribe no matter which platform you're on. And did I say hit the star? Okay. No matter what platform you're on. And if you're part of the SSN Nation on YouTube, we do have memberships and we do have subscribers. So if you like what we're talking about tonight, please subscribe to the channel, click the all notification bell. All right. So end of the story, the deal with the Caribbean, like Oasis guys, whatever their name is, whatever, don't matter. The deal we had with them is we came to a compromise, right? I got way less, let's half. Okay. Didn't, and we came to an agreement after 7, 8 months when I sent them messages saying, because I don't really care that much, but I was sending a message like a month later. I said, hey man, you guys are gonna send me my money. I didn't, and I was like, I didn't hear no response. And then I was like, well, I'm coming back anyhow, so I'll just go see them. So now I show up at the venue and none of the guys are there. They're all in Spain. And I'm like, what? So now they have somebody that's doing their property, and he comes in and says, oh, I'm the new guy running their property, man. So I said, hey, where's the owner? Where's the other guy? Where's the son? Because I need to talk to them about some real estate deals. The guy goes, I'm the guy running real estate right now. I said, okay, but I don't need to talk to you. This is about a lot of something else. And it has to do with some stuff we did with the event. It has to do with real estate. You're not involved. So can you just get those guys for where's one of them three? And the guy's like, oh no, none of them are here. They're in Spain. I'm like, what? In Spain? That's weird. He goes, but no worries, man. Just tell me what it is. I said, man, I don't think I need to talk to you right now about this. And so he goes, I got one of the guy's brothers. It's the younger brother. He didn't have nothing to do with this. He basically runs Caribbean Lake Park. So he didn't deal with the real estate, nor did he deal with the venue stuff. He only deals with the motorization stuff, the park itself. He doesn't book the venue stuff. So I told him, I said, hey, man, I'm looking for your dad. I'm looking for the right hand man. I'm looking for your brother. Because he was never in any meetings. He didn't care about the real estate at all or the venue. He only cared about running the water park with the jet skis, the SUV stuff they added, and all this. So I said, I can't blame you. I don't need to talk to you about this. So what you've been doing? And he shows me, hey, man, we added this stuff out back. If you guys want to come over here, I'll let you and your crew come use the park for free and all that. Because me and him was always cool. We always talked. How you doing? See you. Bye. Whatever. But now that little dude that does the real estate comes back and says, "No, man, you should just tell me what it is." I said, "Okay, man." I said, "All I'm going to tell you is your company owes me money." He's like, "Nah, man, we don't owe anybody any money because we pay everybody on time." I'm like, "Nah, not everybody." I said, "You've been misinformed. See, you're the new guy, so I'm just trying to tell you. I don't want to really talk to you right now." Okay, because you don't know what happened. You have no idea what went down. You don't know any contracts. You don't know nothing. And he's like, what? Wait, you're a broker? I said, yeah, I'm a broker. You owe me money. He's like, oh, I can pull up your stuff. I said, well, go have at it. You're gonna have like 30, 40 G's for me or something? He's like, nah, man, we don't owe anybody that. I said, yeah, you do, man. That's why I'm sitting here talking to you right now. Where are they? I'm like, they're in Spain. Okay, fine. Get them on the phone. I tried to call, man. Okay, okay. So at that point, level of stuff starts happening, and then of course, all of a sudden, I get an email. Why are you at my? Why are you at Caribbean Lake Park talking to these guys about this on an email from the oldest son? We sent you over the email 5, 6 months ago. We thought you agreed to it. That's why we never heard from you. I said, what do you mean you never heard from me? I was asking you where my $5 deposit, 5,000 deposit was day 3 or 4 after the venue, and you guys were hemming and hawing about that. What made you think that I wasn't going to care about even just that? Now we talking about some other bigger money now. What do you mean email you sent me is on there? So now I go look around. I'm like, there's no email. So then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. He's from outside the country. It might have went to spam. So I pull it up, and that's when, like I said, it said something like 1,500 or 3 Gs or something like this. And I'm like, what are these guys? Where are they coming up with this nonsense? So that's why at that point I get heated because I'm pulling off the emails. I'm showing them the WhatsApps. I'm showing them everything. And then they're playing games. And so I'm like, look, man, this was the agreement, written, contracts, everything. Now it ends up being, oh, no. The right hand man comes with this. Oh, the agreement was based on how many units would be sold and this, that, and the other. I said, man, get out of my face with this. Here's all our talk right now. It had nothing to do with none of that. Granted, that was already a given. I was marketing your stuff anyhow. There was never any agreement on how many units would be sold and receive commission because I was a broker in the first place. So stop. So, needless to say, with all that, I was like, I got to go see these cats. We got issues. Now, I'm too old to be doing all that, but that's how I pretty much go. Again, I say this all the time. You can owe me a little bit of money. I might be pissed, but when you start talking about 30, 40, 45, all of a sudden it starts being like, wait a minute, how much these guys are? I start adding it up. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. This ain't no 10 G's, 5 G's. I'm like, hold on. And you talking crazy right now? No, I got to see you guys in person. So now you understand why these guys are all of a sudden in Spain. I go, but the wife is telling me, no, no, don't do anything. I'm going with you. And then she talks to me and says, you know what you should do? You should just come up with some sort of compromise and what you can live with and do this. I said, I can't live with I can't live with nothing less than what I was supposed to receive. But she talked me into calming me down, got me down. And I said, okay. I go to her and I even said, okay, how about I just take half and call it a day then? And I said, so basically I sent them a message and I said, okay, guys, here's what I'm going to do. You either, um, there was three options. One is you pay me, can't remember exactly. You pay me half. No, hold on. You pay me what you owe me. We still continue to do business. Number two, you pay me half of what you owe me. We don't do business. Number three, don't pay me what you owe me. Anything at all, we'll deal with that later. Something to that effect. So then I got an email saying, we agree to half. That's what it ended up being. Half of what they owe me. So that's how it goes down. And that stopped me from being locked up in the DR jail potentially. Because the third option wasn't an option in reality. Well, for me it was, but for them it was going to be bad. They weren't going to be coming back to the island anytime soon because it was it was going to be on site. So I'm on site kind of guy. I don't like doing stuff from afar. I like doing it personal. I don't like sending people. I like doing it myself. So I'm almost like the Islamic Muslim people, whereby their religion, if you have a conflict, you have to actually tell people and you have to warn them. I believe in that. I don't like blindsiding my enemy. I like to let them know I'm coming. So I wish everybody was like that. So if I got a problem with you and it amounts to a problem where there's harm coming, I feel it's my duty to let you know. I've been wronged. I let you know I've been wronged. So I got to see you. It's that simple. There's no reason to think making anything else. But luckily, like I said, the wife was like in my ear going, Derek, don't do that. You're going to be on an island. You never know what's going to happen. They might call immigration. I was like, like I'm worried about that really. But she had points. It's a good point. You don't want to be on DR and alter, and get into something because you never know. The legal system is pretty weak, right? So I could be locked up in one of them DR places. It's not cool. So it was a good thing. But anyhow, back to Jardines and Tamara Larry. If you're still trying to get into Jardines, I would highly suggest that you look for people that purchased and are willing to sell. But unfortunately, if you do it that way, then you're going to have to either pay cash or you're going to have to come up with some sort of alternative way to buy the unit. But that would be my um, advice at this moment. Just like anybody else buying any real estate in the Dominican Republic or around the world, I would not be hastily buying. I would be thinking because there's a downturn with real estate, it's coming due to everything happening around the world. People are pulling back a little bit. So now these pre-construction projects aren't selling as many units as they used to. So now, and the people that purchased the units and have paid theirs off, they're finding out the short-term rental isn't giving them the return that they need. And my prediction is there should be 2 or 3 years of lull. So therefore, we will find out. I talked to Joe Nate. That's good. That's excellent because since he's there, he can probably talk. He has the inside scoop on who's willing to sell their units for less. You can do all kind of inside, somebody that might have a purchase. They might say, I just want 90% of my money of down back, which could save you 5 to 10,000 and take overpayments. There's all kind of options. So that's good that you're talking with Joe Nay, because he actually knows, because I am no longer a broker for Jardines at all, because the people that I was a broker with, they don't rep Jardines anymore. Let's just face facts. The reason why things have cut down is because the brokers and the realtors and all these guys, they don't have as many people coming. So they're just cutting back with their agreements expired 1 year or whatever they are. They expire and they're not re-upping because they're not selling any units. So now the developers have to get their own sales force and start selling more often from in-house versus brokers doing it. That's happening to a lot of projects. So that's again why things have slowed down dramatically. This is happening in DR and probably other places in the Caribbean or near USA, Canadian citizens that mostly buy. So again, be very cognizant right now. It'd be better if you just buy after built project at a reduced price. Like right now, they have, like we were talking about Panorama Garden. I was able to, well, it would have cost me 135,000. Some other people, it would have been 145,000. But can you believe right now, you can buy for 185,000 a 2-bedroom penthouse condo at Panorama Garden. It's not 250, it's 185, or was 185 like a couple months back. Brand new, nobody's lived in it, because people did not complete their assignment. They didn't complete it. They backed out. Back when they said 18%, people were like, wait a minute. They didn't go through a lawyer. That meant 145,000 to them. 20 some $1,000 more from the 123. So all of a sudden it's 145. And they're like, no. And back then Epic was giving people their money back. 100% of it. So it was easier just to say, give me my money back if I got to pay 145. And so that could be why there was a unit for 185 for sale, brand new, by the developer. I don't know if they've increased it to 250 like the rest of penthouse units are there, which means nobody's going to be buying many of them, because you can't get 250 a night inside Vistacana right now for a 2-bedroom penthouse, or, well, 2-bedroom for sure. You can't even get 250 a night for a villa or a townhouse in there, except for over at Oasis del Lago. They charge more, right? Because those were $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, which is insane. That's insane. People paid it. Some people bought them. That's insane. That's like Punta Cana Village type stuff, where you're going to spend 800, 1 million, 1.2. That means you're probably going to live there, because renting that out at, why, you're not going to get 1,000 a night, not on a consistent basis. So why even? It doesn't make any sense to rent 30 nights, 60 nights a year. So you're not really making money. So it doesn't make any sense. Although 60 nights at 1,000 a night is 60 G's. But your HOAs are X amount. And if you have a mortgage, it's X amount. I mean, and they charge 8%, 8.5% for a year, variable rates after another year, or 12 to 15, 16% adjustable is crazy. That's crazy nasty work right there. So anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap this up. I don't have enough water on me. Hopefully some of this story night, I know I deviated from the original topic about investing abroad and Dominican Republic record. But again, this is why after 2 years ago, this is why I stopped talking about Dominican Republic as investing so much, unless it's going to be like, I'll talk about Jardines because the price is so cheap, and it's a gentrification scenario where if you buy cheap right now, in about 2 to 3 years, they're putting in so much infrastructure that the value will increase, and you'll still be able to make money, because you'll still be able to charge people $4.99 for the week or even less. And that means you could increase your As they build out that area, that means you can increase people wanting to stay in that area. All right. So that's part of the low end hanging fruit. Vista Cana's always been one of my favorite locations. But again, there's no reason to buy. None. Zero. Because they can't sell hardly any units. People are going to default. People aren't going to sell them. Just like what's happening right now with Panorama Luxury. Those people who got their money back, less 10%, that's fine. Panorama Luxury is now selling units, and yeah, they're selling them for more than what the original was 3, 4 years back, but that's fair. But you're not losing any sleep because the unit is built. You don't have to wait. That goes a long way. And now you have more information because now you can go look at Air ROI, AIR ROI. You can go look at Price Labs. You can go look at Air DNA. You can go look up by the occupancy rates. And now you have a more informed decision. If you know for a fact that it's only 40% occupancy rate, can you make money on 40% occupancy? You can figure out the numbers now because you can see how much people are renting. So now you can understand, well, I can only get 500 a week at this location, whether it's a 1 or 2 bedroom. Does this make much sense for me to buy this for 120,000? No, it's not 0.1%. So there is no way you should be paying 100 and some thousand if you can only make 50 G's or 40% occupancy. There's no way. Shouldn't even come to your mind. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. And this also, I want to say one other thing. These condo hotels that have sprung up on the island, there's a reason. That means they got tired of taking the risk. You putting money down every month and they're on the hook to build it, and they have no money coming in after other than the HOAs, which sometimes they'll be voted out, so they won't control the HOA. Now, all the money they've made is stretched because they've taken, instead of 3 years to build, they're taking 6. All the materials cost way more than they did 6 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 4 years ago. So now it's costing them more to build. So you're infringing upon their profit. So now they have so much less profit. So instead, what they did was, hey, we have condo hotels to sell you. Why condo hotels? Because now they still get to stay in your pocket. You are renting from them for life. That's what the condo hotels are. They get to tell you the HOA cost this year is X amount. The cost to manage your unit and maintain your unit, and the credit card fees, we're going to take away half of that, 3.5 or half for each time somebody used their credit card, because we use a travel agent or we use an outside agency to market our product so we can run it out for you at a higher clip. So now you got to pay, credit card charges, the fees, all this stuff comes up. The housekeeping, and because you owe us HOA money, we take the HOA money out of it straight away. We charge you 20-25% management straight away. And now you're in a rental pool because the people that did not get their unit rented, they share in the profit of all of the units your size. So now, if your place has 70% occupancy, which seems a high amount, 30% of the units share in those profits from 70%. So now, if you just do simple numbers, let's just say there's 5 units. No, I'll use 10. Let's say there's 10 units, and 10 units made $70,000. So you can see right now, each unit would normally be entitled to $10,000 less 25%, less whatever other fees there are, less your HOAs. So let's just say it's 50 G's. Well, 25%. Let's just say it's 50 G's. So now, though, the 10 units would get I mean, the 7 units would get 7,000 each. But since there's 10 units, 10 units split the 50 G's, so you all get 5 G's. See? Now, all of a sudden, you want to sell your unit. But because it's a condo hotel, it's looked at as commercial property because it's not your residential property, right? It's a condo hotel. It's for earning money because you can't live there 6 months a year. There's restrictions. It's a condo hotel. In prime time, you can only stay a week generally, week to 10 days. Off season, you can stay 2 weeks. Low season, you can stay 30 days. That's generally how it works. So now, since it's not a residential property, you can't get a normal mortgage. So you have to get a commercial mortgage because it's a money making venture. It's harder to sell because you need more money down. In America, you need 25% down or more. And since the numbers don't make sense, the bank says, well, maybe we need a little more down payment. And it's harder to sell because it's a commercial type loan. It's not a primary residence mortgage. Big difference. That's what's going to happen outside of America as well. So that's why I am against condo hotels. I have 3 or 4 or 5 videos talking about condo hotels with receipts from people who own, and I show them in the videos from places like Reddit and the internet where people are talking in groups talking about, hey man, I own at the Signature at MGM. We have like 70 some percent occupancy rate. They're charging us $1,500 a month HOA. And it's going up this year, which would be 2026. Not making any money. I want to sell it. The person that bought theirs for 200 G's, they're happy because they're charging 300 and something per night. You get roughly 50% of that. They're at 70% occupancy, so they're happy. But the people now that's going to buy in or who bought in for 300 G's, years later, 350, they're not as happy because their loan is higher. And now they can't make but 6%, 4%, 3%, or in some cases, they're paying to rent it out and they can't live there. Think about that. Okay? So I brought receipts. It's not just what I'm saying. I showed where people are actually in groups talking about it as owners. So go check out those condo hotel videos. There's part 1, 2, 3, and 4, I believe, that I made like a year and a half ago or a year ago. Check it out because this applies everywhere. And I bought receipts on when Aston or all these other projects say we have condo hotels, and then I brought up their rules, how you can rent, how long you can stay there, what time of year, how many nights, all of that. So there, and it's a rental pool. Think about, I mean, all of this is just bad news. I would never advise condo hotels. I'm against condo hotel ownership, quite frankly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully that helps you because in Thailand, they started the condo hotel concept. By Wyndham does it a lot because that's what they do. They do timeshares. Wyndham does timeshares. If I can get you into a condo hotel, that means you're locked almost. You're either going to default or you're not going to be able to find very many buyers because if you're going to buy a condo hotel, you're going to go, okay, so what's the numbers? And then when you start looking at numbers and you go, well, this only earns like 8% or 5% or 3%. How am I supposed to pay you 400 G's? Come on, man. That's crazy right now. So it's going to take me at 3%. This is going to take me 23 years to get my money back or something. Why would I even waste my time? And prices are the cost of maintenance and upkeep is going to increase over time. The newer the buildings get older, it costs more. So that means maintenance and upkeep is going to rise, which means your insurance is going to rise, which means your HOA is going to rise. So if you're only making 3% now, what do you think is going to happen over time? That's bad news. So, or 5% or 7%. What do you think is going to happen over the next 3 to 5 years when your HOAs go up and your insurance goes up and management might even take more fees? So you're at their mercy. So again, just keep that in mind. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap this up. I love you guys very much. I appreciate your support over all these years. But please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. M. Cole, I see you. Thank you so much for being in the house. But please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. And I know it's hard out here, ladies and gentlemen, but it's only going to get harder. If you're not making passive income, if you don't have the capabilities to make passive income, then you are going to keep getting left behind. There's no way to catch up, and it's getting harder to catch up because there's less jobs that are over 6 figures. There's less jobs, period. AI is detrimental to humans because they're going to replace you for jobs that doesn't require manual labor. Not all, but a large part of jobs where you're supposed to correlate information, you're supposed to gather information, give it to your group meeting, and you guys are supposed to discuss what the outcomes are. Nah, AI, they already gave you 5 point. You put in the question, it'll come up. They ask you, do you want us to print it out for you? Do you want us to put this together in a booklet for you? Is there anything else that you forgot? You put in, well, is there any other recommendations? They give you other recommendations. Think about that. So I don't need a staff of people to gather up info, give me ideas, come up with solutions when all I have to do is type in some things and it'll come up and I just ask it. And it's coming up in less than a minute. And we can delve further because it always ends with, do you want me to do this for you? And if you're smart, you're always going to say, hey, is there any recommendations that I forgot about? Because I'm in the state of, I'm in the country of, all that comes into play. Is there any laws that I should be aware of? The risk factors, all of that you can get within 5 minutes. So all of you smart guys out there that get information for your bosses that actually do things, you are at risk and you have 6-figure incomes. Executives, you have teams, you're all at risk because all it takes is one AI guy and your team is obsolete because all the information your team doesn't need to gather no longer. It'll be up as soon as I ask in less than 1 minute. All it takes is the time it takes me to read it is the only time because I'm going to have to read your reports anyhow. And I'm going to have to wait a few days to a week. I can get all the info and start reading in less than 2 minutes right now. So just think about that. So you're going to need a skill set. Real estate is always a good skill set. Stock market trading is always a good, but stock trading is hard. It's easier to do real estate than it is stock trading because you know the numbers and how you should invest. Stock trading, you might know something, but the numbers can change. Just because you think something should go up or down, it may not for a second or 2 or 10 minutes or next day. You're looking at all the data, you're reading everything, and you're like, yeah, this shouldn't hit above that. It's going to bounce off and come back down, but I'll wait till it goes up. It goes up, and then all of a sudden it went across your line, and you're like, okay, we're off to the races. The next candle said that. Okay. All of a sudden, phew, because somebody made a phone call and said, war is on. Yeah, you can't foresee that, right? Just saying. So just keep that in mind. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's wrap it up. I'll see you guys on Monday, I hope. I might do a surprise live stream over the weekend. I just don't know. So we'll find out. So you're going to have to stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe, please. And once again, no matter what happens out here, it's not safe. Don't let people gaslight you to pretend like it's safe. Everybody's not looking out in your best interest for your best interest. So make sure you're cognizant of this. A lot of people, when duress happens, people do strange things. So all I can tell you is this: keep your head up no matter what. And whatever you do, keep moving. And I'm out. Mm.